Hey guys and welcome back to my channel. This is part 3 of What If Naruto was in RWBY. Before we begin, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and also go and support the author, link in description. Grimm's pools are dark, sticky pools containing a thick black substance, almost like oil. According to legend, the Grimm are born from these pools, the monstrous creatures that terrorize the world. However, no one has been able to confirm this theory, as no one has ever seen a Grimm emerge from a pool. Maybe it's because Grimm are very shy, or maybe because they are very ugly and don't want to be seen. These pools are mainly located in a remote and mysterious place, where no one dares to go. It is said to be a place full of dangers and secrets, where Grimm pools are so abundant that they cover the ground like a black sea. Some say it is the origin of all Grimm, others say it is the end of everything that exists. The truth is that no one knows what is there, or even if it really exists. However, not all Grimm pools are there. There are some that have formed in other parts of the remnant, although they are very rare and difficult to find. These pools are smaller and shallower than those in the distant place, but just as sinister and repulsive. Some people seek them out of curiosity, others out of greed, and others out of madness. But no one knows what they can find in them, or if they will bring them any benefit or harm. Quote exclamation mark. Ha ha, ha, for today hum. Ha ha ha, I can believe it. This is incredibly hilarious. Ha ha ha. How is this possible that this is happening? Seriously, I have very bad luck. William couldn't stop laughing. Tears were coming out of his eyes and his chest was heaving. He found everything that had happened incredibly funny. You would think that after going through so many calamities that day, he would be angry or depressed, but I guess he had no choice but to laugh at his bad luck. In front of him was Naruto Uzumaki, who watched him silently, with an expression of impatience and boredom. I waited for William to finish his fit of laughter so I could talk to him. Are you done yet? Naruto asked, with a tired tone. Yes, boy, yes. Seriously, this is the funniest thing that has ever happened to me in my life. We are in a huge mess. William said, trying to calm down. Yes, you're right. Naruto sighed, looking at the situation. He was exhausted by everything he had done. It seems that this is a small misunderstanding. Do you think so, brat? William asked, with a hint of irritation. Naruto had limited options. Now he couldn't kill that guy, because the police could investigate him and that was the last thing he wanted. And second, if they caught that guy, he would possibly talk and they might suspect him, and that was also something he didn't want. His only option was to change the situation and make it seem different. Naruto sighed and spoke. It seems that this is a small misunderstanding, as I said before. He repeated. Yes, you mentioned that, but I don't understand. Explain yourself. William demanded. Well, look, a while ago some very important things were stolen from me and all the clues pointed to your organization. And I wanted them back. Naruto explained. And what was so important that you came to attack me, you damned idiot? William asked. Have you heard of Kopi Luwak coffee? A cup of that coffee costs between 80 and 100 lien. Naruto answered. You're fucking with me. You came to destroy my organization for a damn coffee. William exclaimed, incredulous. Believe me, there wasn't just coffee in what they stole from me. Said Naruto. Well, shit, William said, with a surprised tone. In any case, this won't save you. It seems like it was fate that I got involved in this. Naruto said, with a serious look. What? William asked, confused. In the war between criminal gangs. Naruto said, with a deep voice. You see, I am not a simple concerned citizen. I am a student at Beacon Academy. Although my reasons for being here are completely selfish, it does not mean that I will let go of everything I have seen on these ships. This is your end, William. Open double angle bracket. It's the Veil Police. Lower your ships or we will open fire. Last warning. Close double angle bracket. A voice came over a loudspeaker. Yes, that too. Damn. This got complicated, didn't it, William? Said Naruto, with an ironic smile. Yes, indeed, brat. Said William, with a grimace of resignation. Naruto took advantage of that moment to punch William's face and knock him out. We have to fix this situation. I wish I could fly. The Veil Police, the body in charge of maintaining order throughout the kingdom, were carrying out their daily work of pursuing criminals. They received an anonymous call informing them that a criminal gang was attacking other gangs in the kingdom and carrying out dirty business. Furthermore, he told them that day they were going to send merchandise to the kingdom of Vacuo, which could be dangerous. At first, the police thought it was a joke or a trap, but when they verified the sources, they found it to be true. So they decided to act and attack the criminal gang. And that's how they found themselves in that situation. Their lights pointed to the 3 ships that the criminals used to transport the merchandise. They made the first warning call to let the ships know they were being followed and to stop. But suddenly, they saw something surprising. A sword came out of one of the ships and cut the metal near the windows. It made a perfect square the size of a grown man, and the cut metal fell to the ground. From there came a young blonde man with blue eyes who was dressed like a waiter and who had his hands up, indicating that he was surrendering to the authorities. The young man was talking, but nothing could be heard, because he was very far away and the noise of the propellers covered him. Open double angle bracket, don't resist, we are the police of the Kingdom of Vale. Lower your ships and surrender peacefully now. Close double angle bracket, the police said over a loudspeaker. But the young man continued talking, as if he did not pay attention to them. This was complicating things. The police didn't know what to do. Should they shoot him or approach him? What did the young man want to tell them? What was in the merchandise he transported? Why was he dressing like a waiter? Was he a disguise or a joke? And what was happening with the other two ships? Were there more people inside? Were they allies or enemies of the young man? And what was a sword doing on a ship? Was it a normal sword or did it have some special power? The young man had blonde hair and blue eyes. Was he a foreigner? The police officers were confused and nervous. They didn't know how to resolve that situation. They needed more information and more reinforcements. But they didn't have time to wait. They had to act quickly and carefully. They did not want to provoke a massacre or a war. They just wanted to do their job and catch the criminals. Naruto knocked Williams out and approached the windows. He saw the police ships surrounding them. Quickly, he took his sword and slashed through the metal of the window, making a hole the size of himself. He could have used the hatch, but I guess he didn't think of it. Then, he kicked the severed metal and sent it to the ground. Very well, he said, raising his hands in surrender. Good evening, gentlemen. How are you? I know what you're thinking, but it's not what it seems. Let me explain. Open double angle bracket, don't resist, we are the police of the Kingdom of Vale. Lower your ships and surrender peacefully now, the police said over a loudspeaker. Yes, I understand perfectly, don't worry. I'm not resisting. I'll talk to the pilots and everything will be solved. They will explain it to you. I have nothing to do with this. Do you understand? Naruto said, trying to calm them down. Open double angle bracket, I told him to lower the ships and not resist. Close double angle bracket, the police message was heard again. Naruto, they can't hear you. You're too far away and the propellers are making a lot of noise. The QB voice in his head told him. That explains, Naruto said, realizing his mistake. Open double angle bracket, last warning, lower the ships or we will open fire. Close double angle bracket, the police said, losing patience. Okay, we don't have to rush, okay. I'm going to lower my weapons so they can see that I'm willing to cooperate. Naruto said, trying to buy time. But when he went to take the sword from him, the Vale police fired, thinking he was going to attack. Naruto dodged the bullets and hid inside the ship. Damn idiots. I can't believe it, Naruto exclaimed, indignant. Idiot. Direct chakra to your throat so they can hear you. Kurama told him, giving him advice. Really? Can that be done? Naruto asked, surprised. You can do many things, stupid. The fox told him, insulting him. Naruto was going to do what the beast told him, but then he saw that there was a megaphone near where Williams was. It was hanging over him. That is very convenient, Naruto said, grabbing the megaphone. He stood in front of the hole he had made and turned on the megaphone to speak. Very well, gentlemen, listen. I understand that this is your job, but understand that I am not resisting anything. If you listen to me, I will be able to explain myself. Naruto said, hoping they would hear him. Naruto waited for a moment, waiting for the police's response. But there was no response. Just silence. Open double angle bracket, lower the ship and don't resist. Close double angle bracket, the police said, repeating the same message. Listen, gentlemen, I'm telling you that I'm going to lower those ships. Just wait a little, I'm not going to try anything. Please, Naruto said, pleading with them. But before he could finish, Naruto saw that there were two police ships, but in addition to that, there was a small ship that didn't belong there. It was a Kingdom News ship. And in it was Lisa Lavender, the famous reporter. As that Lisa Lavender, Naruto wondered in his mind. And all he had to say was, why the hell? This can't be true, Naruto said, horrified. He immediately realized that not only the police were there, but also the damned news of the kingdom. And that meant that everyone was watching what was happening. Is that all you have, Pyrrha? Yang said with a mocking smile. No, I still have some tricks in store, Pyrrha replied. She and Nora were in Team RWBY's room, enjoying a girls' night out, and now they had started playing video games. Fun fact. The console they were using was one that RWBY had borrowed from Naruto, but had never returned. What a bad friend, right? Naruto must be very sad to lose his favorite console. Maybe that's why he got in trouble with the law. Suddenly, there was a loud knock on the door, which interrupted their fun. What is that? Weiss asked, annoyed by the noise. I'm coming. Weiss exclaimed, and got up to open the door. He ran into Ren, who was very nervous, something that was unusual for him. Girls, you have to see this, he told them, and showed them his scroll. For a few seconds, no one said anything. They were trying to assimilate what they saw on the screen. Then, RWBY broke the silence. Why do the police want to arrest Naruto? You could see that Naruto was in a ship, surrounded by police who pointed their guns at him. Naruto was talking, but he couldn't hear anything. The police demanded that he surrender. What could Naruto have done to make the police so angry? Will he have stolen it? Has he done some mischief? What the hell is going on? Nora asked, confused. Well, maybe this is the real reason he was sneaking out of his bedroom, Blake said. That doesn't make sense. What? Is he an undercover criminal or what? Weiss exclaimed. Weiss always so skeptical and sarcastic. At one point, they saw Naruto trying to grab his weapon, but they didn't know why. The police immediately shot him. Pyrrha covered her mouth with her hands, worried. Everyone could see that the situation was getting serious. Seriously, Naruto, what trouble have you gotten yourself into? Weiss said. Naruto went out again to confront the police, but this time he had a megaphone and started talking. Open double angle bracket. Listen, gentlemen, I understand that you are doing your job, but understand that I am not resisting anything. If you listen to me, I will be able to explain everything to you. Close double angle bracket. Naruto always so diplomatic and peaceful. An argument was heard between Naruto and the police. Neither of them would give in. Naruto tried to explain himself, but the police kept insisting that he surrender. What will happen to Naruto? Will he be able to convince the police that he is innocent? Or will he have to use some trick to distract them and flee? // Open double angle bracket. This is your last warning. Drop the weapon and surrender. Close double angle bracket. The Vale police said over the loudspeaker, as they surrounded the stolen bullhead with their own airships. Gentlemen, please be reasonable. I'm going to make a move, but it's nothing bad. I just want to tell the pilot to land. I'm not going to shoot or anything. Are we okay? Naruto said in a nervous voice, while holding an unconscious William with one hand and the megaphone with the other. Open double angle bracket. Don't make me repeat it. Drop the weapon and surrender right now. Close double angle bracket. The police insisted, pointing their rifles at the bullhead. Sir, I swear to you that I have no intention of resisting. I am unarmed and I am surrendering, said Naruto, releasing William and raising his hands in surrender. Open double angle bracket. Drop the weapon. The police could not finish the sentence, as they were interrupted by an explosion that shook the air. Sir, I don't know what you're talking about. Naruto turned and saw with horror that Korbat, one of the criminals he had knocked out earlier, had gotten up and had taken out some kind of bazooka. The man was pointing directly at the nearest police plane, with an evil smile on his face. Naruto reacted quickly and pushed Korbat's arms up, causing the projectile to deflect and hit one of the propellers of the plane Naruto was on, causing the engine to fail and the bullhead to begin to lose altitude. This made Naruto very angry, who had enough of the mess he had gotten into and now had to deal with an even worse situation. Naruto punched Korbat, knocking him out again. Then, acting quickly, he rounded up all the criminals on that ship and tied them up with a wire he found in the cabin. He took the end of the cable, which was at least 8 meters long, tied it to a kunai, and threw it at the police bullhead so that it would hook onto his paws. Naruto pulled the cable hard and made all the criminals fall into the void, hanging from the police ship as if they were a piñata. Finally, he took William and tied him to another cable along with him, to prevent the subject from escaping. If he woke up by some miracle, he was going to jump to the nearest ship, the police ship. But Naruto wasn't going to do that and risk getting arrested, and even though he knew it was inevitable that they would, he'd rather delay that a bit. So he bypassed that ship and ended up on the kingdom's news ship, which was broadcasting everything that was happening live. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, how are you? Naruto said, greeting the camera with a forced smile, while he swung on the cable that connected him to the bullhead. I hope you're enjoying the show, because I'm not, he added sarcastically, as he climbed the cable and jumped into the news ship, where a surprised reporter and her team were waiting for him. Miss Lisa Lavender, I am a great admirer of your work. It is an honor to meet you. You are as charming as always, he told the reporter, who looked at him with a mixture of fear and surprise. I love her reports, especially the one she did about the full moon festival. It was very informative and fun, he complimented her, as he approached her. Good evening, Kingdom of V Vale. I'm Lisa Lavender, and here we have an exclusive with the #1 suspect of this criminal gang that is in front of us, the reporter stammered, trying to keep it together. Composure. We are live from the skies of Vale, where an incredible incident has occurred involving a group of thieves, a stolen bullhead, and a young fawn, he continued, while pointing at the camera. I'm afraid you won't be able to do anything with us, sir. The police are surrounding you, he warned, pointing to the ships that were approaching the news bullhead. I suggest that you turn yourself in and cooperate with the authorities, or else you will have to face the consequences, he told her firmly. Don't worry, Naruto said, with a tone of false calm. I only came here to clarify the situation. I am not part of this. In fact, I come to tell you that I was the one who stopped this altercation, he told them, pointing to the unconscious William, who was lying on the ground. This is the real culprit, the leader of the band, the one who planned all this. I was just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and I got involved in this mess, he explained to them, sincerely. Are you telling me that all this is a misunderstanding? And that you are not what you seem? The reporter asked, incredulously. And how do you expect us to believe you? She said, skeptically. That's right, Naruto exclaimed, feeling a spark of emotion. Pay attention, this guy you see here is called William. I don't know his last name nor do I care. The fact is that he is the culprit of all this disaster. I was just here by chance, I have nothing to do with him or his plans. Wow, that's amazing. And who are you? Asked the reporter, fascinated by the story. Excuse my lack of courtesy, miss, I was very rude by not introducing myself. My name is Naruto Uzumaki and don't worry, I'm not going to do anything bad to you or your camera. In fact, if you want, I'll give you these weapons and mine, so they feel safer, Naruto said, offering his gun and other objects to Lisa as a sign of goodwill. Lisa took the weapons with some hesitation, but was grateful for the gesture. She was impressed by Naruto's bravery and generosity, who had managed to defeat William. Lisa was a reporter for a news channel and she had gone to cover the situation. Suddenly, an arm wrapped around Lisa's neck, preventing her from breathing. It was William, who had recovered from the beating that Naruto had given him, and took advantage of the moment of distraction between Lisa and Naruto to take a hostage, Lisa being the chosen one. I can't believe that an idiot, imbecile and careless brat beat me, you disgust me and on top of that you're a damn fawn, William said with contempt, while he took Lisa's weapons and pointed one of them at her head. What a coincidence, this guy is also racist, we can add him to his list of crimes when he is arrested, right? Naruto said sarcastically. And stop acting like nothing is happening. What the hell is wrong with you? Can't you see I'm aiming at this woman's head? William shouted, furious at Naruto's attitude. Lisa couldn't speak, she was terrified, she was shaking and the camera was still recording the entire event live. The spectators of the kingdom were waiting to see what could happen and Naruto's friends, who were watching him on television, were waiting to see how he would solve it. I'm clear, this girl is Lisa Lavender, the famous reporter from Channel 7. Or 8, I'm not sure, the truth is that I don't watch much TV, but that doesn't matter, what matters is that it's not in your best interest to hurt her. If you wanted revenge on anyone, it would be anyone but her. Not in this situation, it doesn't suit you, Mr. William, Naruto said calmly. What the hell are you saying? Why are you talking like that? Said William, bewildered. I don't know what you're talking about, Mr. William, but let's leave that aside. Seriously, drop the weapon. It's over, this is all over, we can end this peacefully and you turn yourself into the police, maybe they'll reduce your sentence. For collaborating, maybe, or maybe not, it depends on how corrupt the judges are, Naruto said nonchalantly. I can't believe it, you, of all those here, were the one who came to me and destroyed me, I can't believe it, there is no greater humiliation than being defeated by someone as irresponsible, as stupid as you. Didn't it occur to you that I was pretending to be able to escape from this and on top of that you brought me a couple of hostages? Don't you understand the situation, kid? At any moment I will burst this woman's head if you don't do what I say. William said, furious. At that moment Naruto's voice changed, it went from being carefree and fun, to a serious one with a cold and calculating look. It seems that the one who does not understand the situation here is you, Mr. William, Naruto said, with a threatening tone. This is Lisa Lavender, but I don't think you understand it and maybe it's because of the pressure, or the lack of neurons, but don't you remember that she is a reporter? That means that all of this is being recorded, right? Do you think I wouldn't get in trouble for doing all this? The police would probably arrest me and suspect me and maybe you would frame me for some things if you turned yourself in. That's what people like you do, unscrupulous people, people who don't respect fawns. I always knew you were pretending, idiot. Once I got here I waited for you to take a hostage. I know what they are going to say and it was cruel. I understand. It was wrong. I will answer for that, said Naruto, very seriously, but the point here is that you already confessed, so any accusation you could make against me is no longer useful. You have already turned yourself in, that was the purpose of all this theater. I'm sorry to say, but he already knows you the entire kingdom, you won't even be able to go to the bathroom without them watching you. Mr. William, I advise you to put down your weapon and surrender, said Naruto, with a malicious smile. Now William was very upset, but more than that, he felt the fear of the circumstance. He did not expect all this. This boy was smarter than he gave him credit for. He anticipated his movements and put him in check. It seems that you have already noticed, Mr. William, the problem you are in is impossible to remedy, said Naruto, smiling at William. So, what are you going to do? Are you going to let go of Lisa and give yourself up? Or are you going to shoot him and die trying? Because I warn you that if you do something to Lisa, I'm not going to leave you alive, and it won't be a quick and clean death, but a slow and painful one, I assure you. Naruto said, with a murderous look. William gritted his teeth and spoke, I don't care. At least the death of this woman will weigh on your conscience. And so William pulled the trigger of his gun and fired. Naruto laughed at William's action and surprise. Please, really? Why do you think I wouldn't take your gun? It obviously doesn't have bullets, Naruto said, mocking William. The truth is that this came to me on the fly, thought Naruto. I'm so lucky. Well, let's get started, Naruto said, preparing to act. William tried to threaten again and realized that Lisa was not there and began to scream in panic. Where is she? She was here. Where the hell? He could only see black all over the place. It was dark. Said William, frightened. All the members of the news were confused because suddenly William started shouting and ranting that no one was there. At that moment, Naruto took advantage and kicked him in the chest, making him fall from the plane. What he didn't realize was that the cable the guy who tied him also dragged him to the ground and the two plummeted to the floor. On the descent to the ground, Naruto cut the cable and tied it to another kunai, which he stuck into a tree, leaving William tangled, who hit the branches and leaves. Naruto took his sword and stuck it in a tree. Unfortunately, it was in very bad condition, eaten away by termites and was rotten, which caused Naruto to slip and fall to the ground. As it was dark, he couldn't see that there was no one under him. A floor, but a cesspool, and from there he submerged. Shit, Naruto thought, as he sank into the dirty water. This wasn't in my plans. //. Naruto felt trapped in the darkness, unable to see anything around him. He only felt the cold that penetrated his bones and made him shiver. He was wondering where he was and how he had gotten there, but he couldn't find any answers. It feels very cold. It's very cold here. What is this place? How did I get here? He murmured with a trembling voice. From the depths of that place, a familiar voice called him insistently, trying to wake him up from his lethargy. It was the voice of the nine-tailed fox, the QB, that was sealed within him. Open double angle bracket Naruto, react. Close double angle bracket, the fox roared with concern. Who is it? Whose voice is it? Naruto asked, confused. Open double angle bracket Naruto, wake up. Close double angle bracket, the fox repeated with more force. Right, you are the fox, Naruto remembered, recognizing the voice. Open double angle bracket Naruto, this thing is consuming you, you have to get out of here. Close double angle bracket, the fox warned urgently. What is consuming me? Naruto asked, without understanding. Open double angle bracket Naruto, this is bad, react. Close double angle bracket, the fox exclaimed desperately. But Naruto didn't pay attention to him. He felt strange, as if he had lost something important. As if he had lost his identity. Who is Naruto? He asked himself. Open double angle bracket Naruto, don't let yourself be overcome by the darkness. Close double angle bracket, implored the fox, knowing what was happening. Suddenly, throughout the place other voices were heard shouting that same name, but with contempt and mockery. They were the voices of the people who had rejected and humiliated him throughout his life. Naruto, you're a loser, said the voice of Sasuke, his rival and friend. Naruto, why do you keep doing it? Don't you see that you can't do anything against Sasuke? Why do you keep insisting on fighting him? Said the voice of Sakura, his partner and his platonic love. Naruto, you are a failure, said the voice of Neji, his opponent in the Chunin exam. Naruto, my parents said I shouldn't get close to you, that you are a monster, said the voice of a child, one of the many who had avoided him. Yes, monster, other voices said in unison. Monster, monster, that word was heard everywhere, like an echo that tormented him. Who is the monster? The blonde whispered, feeling an emptiness in his chest. You are the monster, Naruto, said a voice that made him shudder. It was the voice of his teacher, Kakashi, the one who had trained him. Right, I'm Naruto, said the blonde, remembering his name. I'm not a monster, why do you talk to me like that? I didn't do anything to you, Naruto said quietly, feeling a pang of pain in his heart. Why do they call me that? I didn't want to be born like that, I never asked for any of this, Naruto said, raising the tone of his voice, as rage took over him. Idiots, if you want a monster I'll give it to you, you thought I was going to stay like this, that I was going to allow you to. No, what am I thinking? I shouldn't think like that, Naruto said, trying to control himself. But it was too late. The darkness had already completely enveloped him, and his mind was clouded with hatred. He no longer remembered his dreams, his friends, his village. He just wanted to destroy everyone who had made him suffer. Why do I keep trying? Why do I do it? Everyone in that village treated me like trash and I kept trying to win their affection. Why did I do it? It doesn't make any sense. Why did I keep seeking the approval of those people? Naruto said, his voice bitter and resentful. Naruto was plunged into darkness, unaware that the fox within him was about to escape his seal. His eyes had turned blood red and his fangs had grown like those of a beast. He was about to become the monster that everyone feared and hated. And Naruto, he heard a voice that brought him out of his trance. He was a feminine and tearful voice, which sounded familiar. He didn't know why, but he didn't like hearing that voice cry. He felt an urge to hold her and comfort her, but she couldn't move. He was trapped in her own nightmare. Suddenly, everything lit up and he could see a figure. She was a woman with red hair and lilac eyes, who reminded him of someone. She had blood in her mouth and one of her claws was going through her stomach. Behind her was another figure, but he couldn't quite make it out. Who was she? Naruto asked himself, confused. He had the feeling that he knew her, that she was important to him. He didn't know the reason, but tears flowed from his eyes that he tried to wipe away. Don't be demanding. Eat a lot and grow strong, said the woman in a weak voice. Miss, don't keep talking. Please go to a hospital, Naruto said, worried. Make sure you shower every day and stay warm. Don't stay up late either. Why you need to sleep a lot, the woman continued, as if giving her advice. Tears were coming out of Naruto's eyes, he couldn't stop crying. Miss, why does she care so much about me? I don't know her, Naruto said, not understanding. And make many friends, just a few. That you can really trust, the woman added, with a sad smile. I have friends, or so I want to believe, miss, Naruto said, remembering his teammates. I wasn't very good at it, but keep up with your studies and practice your ninjutsu a lot. Remember that everyone has their strengths and weaknesses, so don't get too depressed if you can't do something. Respect your teachers now. Your senpai from the academy, the woman continued, proudly. Yes ma'am, I won't let you down, said Naruto, feeling a strange obedience towards her. He couldn't bear the thought of disobeying her. And this is the most important thing. The 3 prohibitions for a ninja. Be very careful with lending and borrowing money. Save the pay for your missions. No alcohol until you are 20. Excess can ruin your health, so, drink in moderation, the woman said seriously. Don't worry, I have never drunk alcohol and I always pay all my debts, said Naruto. Women are another of the prohibitions. I don't have much experience in this regard, but, the only thing you have to keep in mind is that this world is made up of men and women, and that it is normal for you to feel attracted to girls, but not let yourself be carried away by evil women. Look for someone like me, the woman told him, sweetly. I understand, sniff sniff, Naruto responded, blushing. He didn't quite understand what he wanted to say, but it sounded positive to him. The woman smiled at him and caressed his face. Naruto felt a warmth in his heart that he had not experienced in a long time. Since we are talking about the 3 bans, be very careful with Jiraiya-sensei. He is a pervert who only thinks about the opposite sex. He. Naruto laughed a little, it seems like I can't help it anymore, sniff sniff, how do you know Ero Sennin? Naruto, you should know that from now on, many sufferings and sadness await you. Always be true to yourself, have a dream and have the confidence to make it come true. There are so many things. So many more that I would like to tell you, I would like to be able to spend more time with you, I love you. Naruto began to cry without holding back. It had been 2 years since he had allowed himself to cry. His throat hurt from shouting so much. Madam, I don't know who you are. I don't know why you care so much about me. I don't know you, but I am very grateful, thank you very much. Minato, sorry for using your time. Don't worry, Naruto, my message to you is, I guess it's the same as your noisy mother's. Hearing that last part, Naruto's eyes widened. He realized that that woman in front of him was his mother. Naruto lost all the logic he had. He knew that this was not real, just an illusion of his mind, but he didn't care. He tried to reach that woman but he couldn't touch her, no matter how hard he tried. Mother, please. It's me. Open double angle bracket Naruto, wake up. Close double angle bracket. It was that voice again that tried to bother him. Mom, please. Here. It's me. Open double angle bracket Naruto, wake up. Close double angle bracket. Leave me alone. He shouted at the annoying voice, he was too busy to pay attention to her. Open double angle bracket Naruto Uzumaki, wake up. Close double angle bracket. And he opened his eyes. Naruto was once again in that infinite darkness. What was that? Finally, brat, I've been calling you for. I don't know, a long time. It's hard to know here. The most important thing is that this thing is devouring you. It's making you a part of it. You have to get out of here. Yes, said Naruto. Between upset and exhausted, his heart was beating hard. It almost seemed like it was going to burst out of his chest. I have to get out of here, now. // From a deep, dark well, a body crawled out, covered in a black substance that evaporated upon contact with the air. The body crawled to the forest floor, where it lay, looking at the stars. Fuck, what the hell was that? He exclaimed, feeling unbearable pain. I have no fucking idea, kid, but I'm warning you, don't go near one of those shits again. Did you hear me? Responded a voice in his head, which seemed to be very pissed off. Yes, yes, I understood. You don't need to yell at me, said the boy, nodding his head. He wondered how he had ended up in that situation. He was lucky to get out of there alive. Maybe not. If he had listened to the fox's cries, he would be dead. Now, he was alone and scared, in the middle of nowhere. What now? How do I get out of here? Where is the exit? He asked, desperate. He didn't know why he was scared. Well, I don't know, kid, why don't you use your brain, if you have any? The voice told him, sarcastically. Look around you. Do you see anything that can help you? Any sign? Any clue? Something other than a tree or a stone? No, I don't see anything. Everything is dark, and I don't have a fucking flashlight, or a cell phone, or anything, the boy complained, frustrated. More than fear, I felt fury. Naruto Uzumaki sat quietly in an interrogation room. He had nothing to do but wait for them to come talk to him. He knew he was being watched by a hidden camera, but he didn't care. He had spent the night in a jail cell after voluntarily surrendering to authorities. He didn't want to continue running away or cause any more problems. He had left one hell to enter another, but at least this way she could clear his name. He knew what he had to say to get out of this situation. It wasn't as complicated as he had thought. He just had to act with regret and responsibility, and tell the truth about what had happened. The fox inside him had taught him to be a good actor when necessary. So when he heard someone open the door to the interrogation room, he stood up straight and adopted a serious and sorrowful expression. He knew that this required a certain environment. Then he saw Ozpin and Glinda Goodwitch, the directors of Beacon's Hunter Academy, enter. She greeted them with respect and politeness. Good morning, Mr. Uzumaki, Ozpin said in a calm voice. Good morning, Professor Ozpin. And Professor Goodwitch, good morning. I'm sorry to see me in these unfortunate circumstances, Naruto said humbly. Glinda smiled kindly at him and answered him. Don't worry, Mr. Uzumaki. We are aware of the situation. We know that you are not to blame for what happened. Naruto lowered his head in false sorrow. He had to get on the good side of these people, if he wanted them to leave him alone. Once that gesture was made, the two teachers sat in their corresponding chairs, in front of him, separated by a table. Ozpin looked him straight in the eyes and said. Very well, Mr. Uzumaki. I think we have already investigated enough to know that you are innocent, but that does not mean that you will get away with everything. You became involved with a criminal gang, caused material damage and put the life at risk. Everyone's safety. That is something we cannot ignore. Yes, I understand perfectly, Professor Ozpin, Naruto responded, interrupting him. He didn't want to be reminded of what he had done. He felt bad about it, but he couldn't help it. Well, if he could, but he had enjoyed the fight, although he wouldn't admit it. It was something that made him feel alive. I'm sorry for everything that happened and I'm aware that I got into trouble. It was inappropriate how I handled things and I put a lot of people in danger. I'm willing to pay any consequences that are assigned to me. I'm not going to run away from this. I understand clearly my faults, sir, Naruto said in a tone of mock guilt. Glinda nodded, satisfied. I like that sense of responsibility from you, Mr. Uzumaki. Please understand that your punishment will be this, so listen carefully, Glinda said in her stern tone. Yes, said the blonde, attentive. You will have to come to my office for 3 months to act as an assistant. You will have to help Professor Bartholomew Oobleck prepare his history classes. And you will have to. Nothing more. That's all, I think, Glinda said as if these punishments had come to her out of nowhere. Naruto's jaw dropped. He couldn't believe what he had just heard. Was that his punishment? Help a teacher and a history teacher. That was all. Much worse was expected, such as cleaning toilets, doing hard labor, or being expelled from the kingdom. But this was a joke. Is that all? Naruto asked, incredulous. Yes, that's it, Glinda repeated, frowning. Isn't there anything else? Naruto insisted, expecting a trap. No, there's nothing else, Glinda confirmed, annoyed. Are you sure? Naruto asked, suspicious. Yes, I'm sure, exclaimed Glinda, losing her patience. Aren't you going to hit me with your whip? Naruto asked, jokingly. No, I'm not going to hit him with my whip. Glinda shouted, furious. Are you sure? Because I like being hit with a whip, Naruto said, winking. Stop it. Enough. Don't provoke me, Mr. Uzumaki, or you'll regret it. Glinda threatened, standing up from her chair and pointing her whip at Naruto. Ozpin intervened, stepping between them. Calm down, Glinda. Don't pay attention to him. He's joking. Right, Mr. Uzumaki, Ozpin said, looking at Naruto with a wry smile. Yes, of course. I was joking. Sorry, Professor Goodwitch. I didn't mean to offend you. I accept your punishment. It is very fair and generous. Thank you for your understanding, Naruto said, quickly apologizing. He had crossed a line, he knew it. But he hadn't been able to resist making a joke. It was his way of relieving the tension and anger he felt. He didn't know why he was angry. You're welcome, Mr. Uzumaki. I hope you serve your punishment and learn from your mistakes. And don't do anything stupid again, Glinda said, calming down and returning to her chair. Don't worry, Professor Goodwitch. I won't do anything stupid again. I will be a good helper and a good student. I promise you that you won't regret giving me this opportunity, Naruto said, smiling sincerely. Despite his joke, he was grateful for the treatment he had been given. It was much better than he expected. I'm glad to hear that, Mr. Uzumaki. I'm sure you have a lot of potential and can do great things. You just have to channel your energy in a positive and productive way, Ozpin said, patting him on the shoulder. Thank you, Professor Ozpin. I will do my best not to disappoint you, Naruto said, feeling a bit of respect for the old man. But just to clarify, sorry if I sound suspicious, but Miss Goodwitch, I don't want to be disrespectful, but this punishment is very light, said Naruto, trying to figure out if there was some trick. Suddenly he felt someone hit his calf. He immediately realized it was Ozpin. He was staring at him and he realized what he was trying to say, that he shouldn't push any further, otherwise this could be worse. I'm very happy with the punishment, Miss Goodwitch. Don't expect anything more than 100% from me, Naruto corrected himself, nervous. I hope so, Mr. Uzumaki. And I know it will be so, Glinda said, with a tone that brooked no reply. Ozpin sighed, relieved that the situation had not gotten more complicated. Well, since we are done with this, Mr. Uzumaki, I would like to know something, Ozpin said, with a kind voice. Naruto turned his head to look at Ozpin, intrigued. Tell me, Professor Ozpin. What do you want to know? Naruto asked, politely. I would like to know what it was that you tried to recover yesterday. What was so important to you as to endanger your life? Ozpin asked, with genuine interest. Oh, sure. It's a long story, but I'll tell it to you, Naruto said, smiling. He took out a box 60 centimeters high and 80 centimeters long and put it on the table. Glinda and Ozpin looked at it curiously, hoping to see what was inside. This is a box that contains small gifts. I didn't want this to be like this, but I'm going to take advantage of this situation since you are here. They are small presents for you teachers, said Naruto, enthusiastically. Mr. Uzumaki, you didn't have to. Glinda began to say, surprised. Naruto quickly interrupted her. Yes, I know I didn't have it, but you are some of the best teachers I have ever had and you have taught me very well in all this time I have been here in Beacon. I wanted to thank you, said Naruto, sincerely. Quickly, Naruto opened the box and showed its contents. There were small bags and some boxes. Naruto grabbed a bag and offered it to Ozpin. Very well, for you, Mr. Ozpin, I know how much you like coffee, so I brought you this. Naruto grabbed a bag and presented it. This is Kopi Luwak coffee, it's the best in the remnant, I brought it especially just for you and Professor Oobleck. I have another one, don't worry. This is for you, I hope you accept it, Naruto said, handing him the bag. Yes, thank you, Mr. Uzumaki. I appreciate it very much, Ozpin said, grateful. He recognized the name of the coffee as one of the most expensive and exotic in the world. According to what he had read, it was obtained from grains that were expelled by creatures called civets, after having ingested them. That was supposed to give it a unique flavor and aroma. Ozpin wondered how Naruto had gotten that coffee, and how much it had cost him. This is for you, Miss Goodwitch, Naruto said, taking a small black box and presenting it to Glinda. He immediately opened it. She gasped in surprise. Yes, these are pearls, but they are not just any type of pearl, miss. These are a very rare variety that are only obtained from the Menagerie C, the best of the best, just for you, said Naruto, proudly. Mr. Uzumaki, I can't accept this. Glinda exclaimed, impressed. The pearls were beautiful, pearly white in color and intensely shiny. Glinda knew that they were very valuable, and that they could only be obtained by fauns who lived on Menagerie, a remote continent where many of them had taken refuge. Glinda wondered how Naruto had gotten those pearls, and how much they had cost him. Accept them, please, you deserve them. You have been helping me a lot and I couldn't find any other way to repay your kindness, Naruto said, insisting. And how did you pay for all this, Mr. Uzumaki? Because I understand that this coffee and these pearls are not cheap at all. In fact, only someone like Miss Schnee could afford this kind of thing, Ozpin said, curious. Don't worry, I'm kind of an author. So to speak, Naruto said, evasive. Author? Ozpin asked. Don't press the issue, please, Naruto said, in a pleading tone. My audience is not the most appropriate. Ozpin and Glinda looked at each other, confused. They didn't understand what Naruto meant by being an author, or what kind of audience he had. But they decided not to insist further, out of respect for the boy. After all, he had given them some very generous gifts, and they had thanked him. Maybe one day he would tell them more about his life, but for now, the important thing was for him to integrate into the academy. Well, Mr. Uzumaki, we thank you for your gifts, and we hope you enjoy your stay at Beacon. We are sure that you have a lot to offer, and that you will learn a lot from us and your companions, Ozpin said, with a smile. Thank you, Professor Ozpin. I'm sure it will be. I'm very excited to start classes, Naruto said, enthusiastically. I'm sure you will, Mr. Uzumaki. And remember, if you need anything, you can count on us. We are here to help and support you, Glinda said, kindly. Thank you, Professor Goodwitch. That means a lot to me. You are the best, Naruto said, with gratitude. The three rose from their seats and shook hands goodbye. Naruto picked up the gift box from him and walked out of the interrogation room with them. // So this is what famous people experience, it's not bad at all, Naruto thought to himself. Yes, I think I could get used to this. Of course, it's not like you had a little trauma and wanted to fill that void with all the attention in the world, the fox said sarcastically, rolling his eyes. Yes, I already understood, you didn't need to be like that, you know. Said Naruto, asking for a little understanding. Okay, it's amazing how news spreads here. The magic of globalization or semi-globalization, I was very surprised that in the news they called me a hero, it's not bad, I like that title. Yes, stop bragging, you damn idiot. Lord Uzumaki. Mr. Uzumaki, an interview please. Mr. Uzumaki will not conduct any interviews, Glinda shouted to the entire audience, trying to protect him. If I may, Miss Goodwitch, I would like to have a word with Miss Lavender. Me, Lisa asked herself in surprise, not expecting him to choose her. If you allow me, said Naruto, with a kind smile. No problem, Mr. Uzumaki. In fact, I was looking forward to this opportunity, Lisa said, with professional enthusiasm. Many times Naruto silently thanked the fox for giving him that type of diet and training regimen, as he was now very tall, which allowed him to tower above Lisa. He got quite close to her, he was very close to her. I would like to apologize deeply to you, Naruto said, sincerely. Huh, Lisa said, not understanding. I will never forgive myself for what almost happened to you, Miss Lavender, said Naruto, with anguish. I understand what you feel, Lisa said, trying to reassure him. Don't defend me, miss, what I did was very serious and I feel guilty, I'm ashamed of myself, how was I able to put you at risk? How could I risk the life of a woman as fascinating as you? Naruto said, fervently. You're exaggerating a little, Lisa said, feeling flattered. Not at all, you are one of the most amazing women I have ever had the honor of knowing, said Naruto, with admiration. And it's not that big of a deal, Lisa said, blushing. How is it not a big deal? Miss Lavender, despite the danger that this job entails, you take action to inform the public, you are a strong and brave woman, said Naruto, with praise. How charming, Lisa laughed lightly, feeling a connection with him. Isn't it very hot here? She said, fanning herself with her hand. Miss Lisa, I would like to express my deep admiration for you, said Naruto, taking the reporter's free hand and kissing it. I can't express how wonderful it feels to be close to you, I finally got to meet you, you are so cute and beautiful, television doesn't do you justice, you are even better than I expected, nothing compares to what you see. Shows on the screens, seeing her so close fills me with joy, I can feel the fine aroma of the morning and the dew of the rain on her beautiful hair, in her eyes I can see the burning look of the fire, which devours everything with its flames but that warms the heart, I would like to express. Mr. Uzumaki, I think we have to go, Glinda scolded. Oh, right, I'm sorry, I got carried away, I hope you'll forgive my impertinence, Miss Lavender, Naruto said, apologizing. There is no problem, Naruto-kun, Lisa said, in a more suggestive and flirtatious tone. Oh, yes, and one more thing, I would like to send a message, said Naruto. No problem, Lisa said, happily. 2 things, Naruto said, raising his hand with 2 fingers. First, I want to tell my friends that I'm fine, don't worry and I'm sorry for the anguish I caused them, and second. Naruto looked seriously at the camera. Nora, I know that we had difficult moments, I know that what I did was not right, it has no justification and I understand your anger, I have not been the best, I understand that I only told you, I'm sorry, and you accepted it, but obviously that was not enough, I should have tried harder, and you deserve better, I swear that from now on I am going to strive to be more than I am, so just expect 100% of me and 100% of my commitment to your person, that's all, see you later, Miss Lavender, I hope to see you again. Said Naruto. Shall we go? Said Naruto. Yes, Mr. Uzumaki, said Glinda. Naruto walked following the 2 teachers and Lisa who joined them without warning. Ozpin wasn't even paying attention to all of this, he wasted no time in making the coffee and drinking it. It's impressive, It's the best coffee in the world. This is worth its price, said Ozpin, very relaxed. Would you let me try some? Naruto said, forgetting about Lisa for a moment. I'm sorry, Mr. Uzumaki, this coffee is just for me, Ozpin said, smiling evilly. That's not fair, Naruto protested. Life is not fair, Mr. Uzumaki, Ozpin said, savoring his coffee. What about me? Lisa said, feeling ignored. You can stay with Mr. Uzumaki, Miss Lavender, Glinda said, pushing her towards Naruto. Oh, well, I guess it's not so bad, Lisa said, looking at Naruto with a smile. Yeah, I guess not, Naruto said, returning her smile, hugging her. How nice, Ozpin said, looking at them with a smile. Disgusting, Glinda said, looking at them with a grimace. As too old for him. //. Guys, I have to tell you something incredible that happened last night, you won't believe it. Naruto exclaimed enthusiastically, as he entered the room where his friends were. Before he could say anything else, he felt a strong blow on his head. Face that made him retreat. He put his hand to his cheek and saw Nora with her fist clenched and an expression of annoyance. What's wrong with you, Nora? Naruto demanded. What's wrong with me? What's wrong with you, idiot? Nora responded, furious. That is no way for a lady to speak, Naruto told her. Shut up. I can't believe you said that in front of the cameras. Nora reproached him, remembering the incident that had led them to that situation. And what did I say? Naruto asked, feigning innocence. It wasn't what you said, but the way you said it, Blake intervened, who was still reading her book curiously, without paying much attention to the scene. I'm still confused, I don't understand, in what tone did I say it? Naruto insisted, trying to lengthen the joke. Stop acting confused, Naruto. Nora shouted, embarrassed and angry at what Naruto had implied. I don't understand, explain it to me, Naruto asked, with a malicious smile. Then Ren took the course of the conversation, trying to bring order. Naruto, what you did was make it seem like you were in a relationship with Nora. Yes, you made it sound like we were fighting. Nora confirmed. But we are fighting, said Naruto, opening his eyes and feigning surprise. Nora, I'm sorry if you thought we had this kind of relationship. Wow, so you finally understand it, said Nora, with annoyance. Yes, sorry if you thought we had that kind of relationship. Naruto continued, with a honeyed tone. Ha, you are a lovely woman, Nora, you are a very beautiful woman, you are fun and outgoing, you are completely unpredictable and I love that about you, but I only see you as a friend, I'm sorry if you thought that. Son of a bit. At that moment, Nora tried to attack Naruto again, but Pira and Yang stopped her in time. How dare you? Damn it, stop doing that. Nora yelled at him, as she struggled to get free. Ha ha ha. Ah, well, Naruto laughed out loud at the situation. Geez, Nora, don't worry, I know how I made you dream, at least you're talking to me now. Nora opened her eyes in realization of what Naruto had tried to do and had accomplished. She had broken the ice between them, after they had that incident. Naruto had taken advantage of the interview they had done on television to joke about their relationship, making Nora blush and get nervous. Miss Valkyrie, no one can beat me. Except for that cat, Naruto said, remembering that cat he had to catch on his first ninja mission, and that had given him more problems than he expected. What cat? Nora asked, intrigued. It's a long story, Naruto said, winking. I'll tell you another day, if you want. //. The two teams had finished their mission and were now in the academy's dining room, enjoying a well-deserved lunch. Naruto was eating normally, but you could tell he was a little tired and bored. He sighed and said, I wish it were ramen, why can't it be Friday every day? Weiss, who was sitting next to him, asked him curiously. Why do you like ramen so much? I just like it, it's delicious. That's it, interjected Yang, who was on the other side of the table. There's no amazing story behind that, is there? Naruto looked away and replied dryly. No, there isn't any. RWBY, who was in front of him, tried to change the topic, as she realized that Naruto didn't want to talk about it. It was something common among everyone. No one knew anything about Naruto's life, they only knew that he was good at studying, kind and a little flirtatious, and that he worked in a nightclub, and that was because Yang had told them, but nothing more. Every time they tried to find out more about him, she would divert the conversation or simply change the subject. It was very frustrating and his team was starting to get annoyed. But Naruto wasn't feeling well right now. A few days ago he had been dealing with his emotions that had been a little erratic. This was strange. He knew how to control himself, but he couldn't. Now he suddenly felt so much rage, so much anger and anger. A throbbing pain in his head that irritated him. He tried to control himself but failed. He makes so much effort not to yell at someone for no reason. He was just angry and didn't know why. I love cookies. RWBY exclaimed enthusiastically, showing a box full of them. Do you want to try? Thanks, but no, said Blake, who was reading a book while eating a salad. I do want it, said Nora, who was next to RWBY and took a cookie from her. Hey, those are mine, RWBY protested, trying to get her box back. Don't worry, there's enough for everyone, plus you offered them, Nora said, smiling. No, there isn't, said RWBY, frowning. Yang watched the scene with amusement and then came up with an idea to get Naruto to open up more. He raised his voice and said, we should celebrate. Everyone stayed silent and looked at her in surprise. Why? Blake asked, closing her book. Well, because Naruto has just destroyed a criminal organization, we have to celebrate it. This doesn't happen every day, Yang said, winking at Naruto. Naruto blushed and said, it wasn't a big deal, I just did what I had to do. Don't be modest, Naruto, what you did was incredible, said Pira, who was next to Nora and smiled at her. Yes, Naruto, you are a hero, said Ren, who was next to Weiss and nodded. And a hero deserves a party, said Nora, jumping from her seat and applauding. Okay, I accept, said Naruto, exhausted. Where are we going? Well, to Junior's club, where you worked, Yang said, with a malicious smile. I'm afraid not. I'm sorry, we can't go to that place, said Naruto, shaking his head. And why not? Yang asked, intrigued. Just no, I have my reasons, said Naruto, evasive. Come on, Naruto, don't be a party pooper, Yang said, insisting, it can get complicated because RWBY can't drink, she's underage. It's also for that reason, I can't drink alcohol either, I'm a minor, said Naruto, revealing a secret of his. Stop joking, Naruto, Yang said, laughing. How old are you? How old do you think I am? Naruto said, returning the question. I don't know, the same age as us, Yang said, shrugging her shoulders. I'm sorry to disappoint you, miss, but I'm 15 years old, said Naruto, seriously. Everyone screamed in shock, they didn't expect that answer. They couldn't believe Naruto was so young. Don't lie, Naruto, you can't be 15 years old, Pira said, incredulous. Normally lying about your age is very common to feel younger, but you don't have to do it, you're very young, Weiss said, skeptical. Seriously, guys, I'm 15 years old, said Naruto, firmly. Try it, said Nora, defiantly. Naruto sighed and reached into his pockets and pulled out his ID card. He showed it to everyone and said, this is the date of my birth, if you do the math, you will see that I am 15 years old. Everyone looked amazed, they couldn't believe what they had in front of them. Naruto was right, he was 15 years old. This is impressive, said RWBY, admired. So you were also recommended by Ozpin, said RWBY, very excited, because finally there was someone who could understand her. No, I applied at 15, my credentials earned me a vacancy, so they didn't offer me any position, I was simply capable, said Naruto, proudly. Wow, I still can't believe it, said Weiss, impressed, that explains how incredibly skilled you are, you must have had incredible teachers, they taught you very well. In fact, said Naruto, a little more confident, I learned everything myself, I am self-taught, since I traveled through the remnant for 2 years and that was my education, I learned from all kinds of places and people. Did you travel through the remnant? Blake asked, interested. Yes, I traveled all over the world, well, not everything, knowing the entire remnant would take me many years, I met many cultures, customs, stories, legends, secrets, mysteries, dangers, enemies. Said Naruto, remembering his adventures. Cultures? Yang asked, amazed. Stories? Blake asked, interested. Mysteries? RWBY asked, curious. Secrets? Weiss asked, intrigued. Customs? Pira asked, impressed. Dangers? Ren asked, worried. Enemies? Nora asked, alert. Yes, 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 yes and yes, said Naruto, responding to everyone. Yes, I once came across the ruins of an old research base, they belonged to a crazy man named Dr. Merlot. Wow, Naruto, your life is incredible, RWBY said, admiring. Yes, Naruto, you have to tell us more, Yang said, approaching him. Well, maybe one day I'll tell you more, but now is not the time, Naruto said, smiling. And when will it be time? Yang asked, flirtatious. When it's time, Naruto said, mysteriously. I like your mystery, Naruto, Yang said, seductively. And I like your enthusiasm, Yang, Naruto said, gallantly. The two stared at each other, a mischievous smile on their lips. Everyone looked at them with a combination of amazement, amusement, and annoyance. Is anyone else uncomfortable here? Ren asked, frowning. I do, Weiss replied, frowning even more. Me too, Blake added, nonchalantly. Not me, Ruby exclaimed, enthusiastically. Suddenly, everyone noticed how Naruto touched his forehead with his hand. He felt it again, those sharp pains in his head that tormented him from time to time and were unbearable. With them also came a great hate without reason. And instantly, Naruto put on his usual smile again and, as if a bucket of cold water had been poured on her, Weiss realized something illogical in this conversation. Wait a minute, Weiss exclaimed, if you entered Beacon Academy at 15 just like us and say you traveled through the remnant for 2 years, how did you graduate? No, makes sense. It's because I graduated when I was 13, Naruto replied and everyone was petrified. You don't even believe it, Naruto. It's bullshit, Weiss said, and covered her mouth when she realized what she had just said. He quickly apologized, I'm sorry, pardon my vocabulary, but that's a lie, it's absurd. No, it's not, Naruto said, wait a second, please, I'm going to show you the data of my institution. He took the scroll from him and showed his graduation credential, confirming his veracity. Deep down, he was very grateful to Junior for all the roles he had gotten him. Here it is. Weiss took the scroll from Naruto and began reading the document. Naruto Uzumaki, graduated from the Empire Institution at age 13. Wait, Yang said, if you're a minor, how come you worked for Junior? You know what he did, right? And what was he doing? Naruto said with false innocence. Now you know. I don't know what you're talking about, Yang. Well, shady jobs, if you know what I mean. Well, in any case, I think I understand what you mean. How come I, as a minor, worked as a guard in a club? There is an answer to that, and it is that I faked my age. I needed the money. You're amazing, Naruto, Ruby said, I can't believe you did all that. Are you trying to embarrass me, Ruby? Too bad, it won't work on me. That's how it's done. Ah, Fira. Don't even try, Naruto, she said as a warning. Wow, how bitter. Sorry, let's see, Weiss. Naruto, I'm warning you, don't try anything, said Weiss, who was still looking at Naruto's badge in disbelief. Okay, Blake, he said, but she just stayed silent and didn't say anything. Blake Belladonna, charming woman with a mysterious countenance. Try it, Naruto, and you'll have my weapon up your ass. Again, my goodness, guys, I can't recite a good poem to you. It's your loss. You know Naruto, maybe this isn't the best time to say it, Fira said, her voice soft. Say it without fear, Fira, you don't have to worry, said Naruto, who felt that stab of pain in his head again. I think we have been pushing ourselves too hard in training and you can. She lowered her voice a little, she was a little self-conscious about what she just said. I think we should stop. Naruto remained silent looking at his plate and raised his gaze to look at his classmates. He was serious, but he smiled. No problem, I understand, you will only train on Mondays and Thursdays, don't worry. Why did you say they will train? Ren asked. Well, because they didn't want to train every day, so don't do it, there's no problem. There's no problem, I didn't say anything wrong, right? But and you? Nora asked. Naruto, a little confused, responded, what's wrong with me? Why don't you stop? Why would I stop? I don't have to. Naruto looked at everyone around him, who was silent, until Blake broke the ice. I know I have no right to tell you this, we are not exactly friends Naruto, but I like you and the point is that you should get some rest, it is not healthy. Yes, Yang exclaimed. I know you love training and I understand it, but you don't have to go overboard. Naruto simply smiled again. Guys, I understand and I thank you very much for your concern, but I already told you my reasons why I fainted. You don't have to worry, I will take it easier from now on. Naruto. Ren intervened. You have to understand that this is not healthy, some things should not be pushed to the limit, no matter how good it is, please. He felt another searing pain, but this one was more intense, bringing with it more anger. Enough, Naruto said with a stern voice and everyone remained silent. These are my reasons and that will not change. Everyone felt the tense atmosphere and Yang tried to ease it. Well, I guess there won't be a party, right? Hee. She laughed weakly, but it didn't work. Sorry guys, I really didn't mean to. Sorry, I think I'll go. Naruto got up and left the dining room. Everyone saw him leave. Very well done. It was not the time to talk, the redhead sighed. Don't worry Pira, he just needs time, you know. I think it's time they faced him, Yang said. What are you talking about? I don't know if it's me, but I've noticed that he is very evasive about his personal life. So what's wrong with that? Blake said. Everyone has the right to have their secrets. Yes, we know, but he's too evasive. A while ago we didn't know he was damn 15 years old. And that he was traveling through Remnant. It's been 4 months and we finally know where he studied. We don't know anything about him and every time we try to start a conversation about him, he avoids it and just leaves, said Nora. Weiss joined the conversation. While I admire Naruto's dedication, he is always trying his hardest, that is a good thing, but I am beginning to suspect that his motivation has a sadder undertone. When I see Naruto, many times he has a lost look, I have the feeling of loneliness in him. She smiled as she remembered Naruto. But more than that, when he's with us, it's like he cheers up, he feels happy, I like that part of him. When he has a sad look, he hides it when we arrive, I don't like it, said RWBY. Maybe. He just doesn't want to remember. Nora said in a whisper. Maybe it's too painful for him to remember, we should talk to him and help him. Naruto was the kind of man that everyone on Team RWBY and Team NNPR had in mind when they thought of a hero. A brave and skilled warrior, endowed with superior intelligence, unparalleled cunning and insight that allowed him to anticipate any situation. Furthermore, he was kind and affectionate with his friends, slightly flirtatious with girls and had a touch of mischief that made him irresistible. He was your typical troubled playboy, who hid a good heart and a mysterious past behind his mischievous smile. If it weren't for his reputation as a womanizer, he would be the perfect man. He had all the qualities of a good husband. He knew how to cook, he was a good listener, and he would do anything you asked of him, no matter how difficult it was. But there was a side to Naruto that no one knew, and that Blake was about to discover. Miss Belladonna. He heard a familiar voice behind her. H-A-A-A-A-A. The black-haired woman shouted, startled. She turned around and saw the blonde who had just appeared out of nowhere. Sorry if I scared you, Miss Belladonna, Naruto apologized, with an exaggerated bow. Stop talking like that, Naruto. What do you want? Blake asked, irritated. The blue-eyed man looked at her confused. Do I always talk to you like this when I want to ask for something or I'm plotting something? She inquired. Yes, you always do. And it's very annoying, Blake replied. Really? Naruto shrugged. Well, it doesn't matter. The truth is that I come to ask you a favor. Blake was on the roof of one of the institution's many buildings. She didn't know how Naruto had found her, but she brushed it off. Maybe she had used her sense of smell or her lightning speed. Naruto Uzumaki took a seat and stared at the sky. Very well, as I said, I want to ask you a small favor. No problem, as long as it's nothing complicated, I could do it. Blake said, curiously. I can only ask this of you and I would like to keep this between us, Naruto said, lowering his voice. No problem, it's nothing that breaks the law, right? Blake asked, suspiciously. Naruto laughed at his partner's response. He. No, of course not. She has a very good sense of humor, Blake. She would be a very good comedian, Naruto said, sarcastically. Ha ha ha, Blake laughed, ironically. So, what do you want? Curious book, said Naruto, pointing to the copy that Blake had in his hands. What is it about? She hesitated for a moment and tried to summarize what it was about. It's about a samurai in times of war who finds love on the enemy side, he said. Ah, I see. It's an action romance book then, Naruto said, nodding. Yes, exactly, Blake said, relieved. I see. And it's not about a samurai who, so to speak, falls in love with the wife of an enemy soldier, Naruto said, maliciously. And nothing to see, Blake said, her voice shaking. I see. And in the middle of his adventures, he meets other loves and has rough, dirty and sweaty action, really hot. You know, that housewife who was going to. Don't tell me the ending. Blake exclaimed, jumping out of her seat. You're perfect for this, Naruto said, smiling. Naruto stood up and stood at Blake's level. How lucky he was taller than her, praised the QB. Very well, actually I'm some kind of writer and I want to debut with a book, Naruto said, seriously. Really? I didn't know you had those kinds of hobbies, Blake said, surprised. I have hobbies, I just don't share them. I want to publish a book and the thing is that I don't have anyone to share it with to give me their opinions. I have observed that you are an avid reader and this book is aimed at a very specific audience, since you know, those who hide their perversions, said Naruto, with a mischievous smile. You're screaming for me to break your face, Naruto, Blake said, with a threatening tone. Come on, don't be angry, Naruto said, raising his hands in surrender. Look, I think you could do me a big favor with this. He took out a small orange book and handed it to Blake. I want you to read it and tell me what you think, and be as honest as possible. It's okay, Naruto, Blake said, picking up the book. See you tomorrow, and please try to read my book as soon as possible. I want to have your reviews ready, Naruto said, as he walked away. Where are you going, Naruto? Blake asked, curious. I'm going to train, Naruto responded, without looking back. I know you're tired of us repeating it to you, but you haven't stopped for a week and I think you should take a break. Blake insisted, worried. I've told you before, that's not going to happen, there's no reason for you to worry, Naruto said firmly. Yes, but these days we have seen you very distant, very absorbed. I know that has not affected your performance in classes, but we have all noticed it, and it seems that you don't even listen to us, Blake said, sadly. Sorry, I know I've been a little absent, but it was because of the book, Naruto lied. Blake noticed that it was a lie, but decided not to push him further. Then just listen to me, Naruto. Please, I don't like seeing you like this, Blake said, lovingly. See me how? Naruto asked, confused. Seeing you so alone, Blake said, with compassion. Uzumaki said nothing, turned around and left, leaving Blake with the book in her hands. Naruto knew very well that he was a little distracted these days. He couldn't stop thinking about that woman, his mother, the one he had seen in that hallucination. He knew where he could find answers to who she was, but he didn't dare face him. He was afraid to know the whole story of how his mother ended up like this. Well, I guess you are already familiar with the rules. Naruto Uzumaki against the CRDL team. The truth is that it is not the best time to have accepted this challenge. I am in a bad mood, especially with these idiots. The CRDL team were unscrupulous thugs, who picked on any faunus that came their way. Naruto bowed politely to the Cardinal team and said politely, I hope it is a worthy battle, Mr. Winchester. Cardin smiled disdainfully. I can't believe I have to fight a damn bug, this is a joke. Mr. Winchester, I recommend that you bite your tongue. And what are you going to do, loser? Loser, Naruto murmured, clenching his fists, and for an instant his eyes turned red. His rage that he could barely contain was overflowing. 2 days ago he asked the Kyuubi for answers and his refusal infuriated him, and since then he stopped insisting, but Zoro was stubborn. At that time, Naruto had been very bitter, so much so that his hostility was noticeable when someone tried to talk to him, and Cardin only worsened Naruto's mood, and he was aware that his anger affected his team and his friends. But he couldn't help it, no matter how hard he tried to calm down, and today he broke out, but it was not a hot and impetuous fury, but a cold and calm fury. Today was a bad day to provoke him. Naruto observed the Cardinal team with a cold and defiant look, with whom he had lost all sympathy and respect. He had no reason or desire left to feign courtesy with them. Cardin Winchester was a young man with dark orange, almost brown hair, worn back with a few loose strands in the front, and indigo eyes. He wore gray armor with gold trim that gave him an imposing appearance. Russell Thrush was a thin, short boy who had a shaved head, except for a light green mohawk that fell over his forehead. His eyes were blue and contrasted with his pale skin. He was wearing a sleeveless jacket and bracelets that covered part of his arms. Underneath the jacket, he had a shirt of a light green shade. On his chest, he wore a brown strap that held a pointed metal piece over his left shoulder. His pants were dark gray. Dove Bronzewing had light brown hair and was combed to the side. Her eyes were almost always half closed, as if she were hiding something. Her armor was a tan color and she had a dove-shaped buckle on her waist. She also wore bracers the same color as the rest of her armor. Underneath this, she was wearing a shirt, pants and a scarf, all black. Skylark had deep blue eyes and long, dark blue hair that was combed back. His armor was a very dark gray with lighter gray edges, as was his bracers. Under his armor, he wore a long-sleeved, V-neck shirt with black pants. Naruto grabbed his sword, still sheathed, and threw it to the ground in disdain. But Cardin did not lose his arrogant smile and said mockingly, What, are you going to give up? What a pathetic coward. Could it be that you got scared? It's not fear I feel, Mr. Winchester. You know very well how our previous fights ended, Naruto responded calmly. I will be completely honest with you. I say this so that everyone can hear it, although not everyone can hear me, only those who are close and the occasional faunus, Naruto continued, raising his voice. No one in this room has the level to defeat me, not even Miss Nikos, although I have not faced her, I am sure that she would not be an obstacle for me. What the hell are you talking about? Cardin exclaimed, frowning, but Naruto ignored him. I'm not belittling your academies or your efforts, I'm just telling the truth. You guys aren't skilled enough, and that includes you, Mr. Winchester, and your entire ridiculous team, Naruto said, looking at the other members with contempt. By Team CRDL. What the hell? Cardin tried to reply, but Naruto interrupted him. You know, I love combat, it's one of the few things I enjoy, and here I find a lot of variety of opponents. But no matter who it is or how many they aren't good enough, they don't offer me a worthy challenge, and I always have to hold back so as not to hurt them, Naruto explained, with a serious expression. But the real reason why I don't use all my strength is that I hate hurting people, I don't like doing it, but sometimes you have to free yourself, Naruto concluded. Mr. Uzumaki, the battle has already begun, but Naruto continued talking, even ignoring his teacher. I like a person to have confidence in themselves, but if that confidence is not supported, it is simply bravado and nothing more, Naruto continued, ignoring him. Naruto unbuttoned his sleeveless jacket and let it fall to the floor, rolled up his sleeves and took off his gloves, but continued talking. Have you felt absolute helplessness? What are you talking about? Cardin shouted, furious. You have felt the situation of being completely useless, powerless and unable to defend yourself. You have felt that no matter how many times you tried, you simply could not win. Have you felt that, Cardin? Naruto asked, with a cold voice. Naruto knelt down, took off his shoes and socks, stood barefoot, stood up again and looked at the CRDL team, who were confused by the blonde's actions more than his words, of course, everyone except Cardin. From what I see in your eyes, I know that you have felt it, but that is where our similarity ends. The difference is that you gave up in those situations and resigned yourself to helplessness. I did not. I did not give up. I got up and I kept trying. And I didn't train. I didn't train until my bones broke, so that an idiot and his damn gang of idiots, would come to call me a loser. Never again. Never again, Cardin. His cry of anger was so loud that it shook even Glinda, but Naruto calmed down and lowered his voice, putting his serious face back on. I'm going to make you feel helpless again and I'm going to enjoy it, did you hear me? Naruto told him, staring at him. Cardin was furious, you dare to threaten me, damn foul. But he couldn't finish the word faunus, because Naruto moved with incredible speed. He stepped so hard on the ground that he cracked it, leaving the mark of his foot. It was so fast that no one saw it. It just disappeared in an instant. A strong wind was felt in the direction of Cardin's team and behind them was Naruto. At the edge of the training arena, he had his right arm extended, with his hand covering Skylark's face. Blood trickled between the connection of his hand and his face, indicating that in that brief second Naruto had broken Sky's nose. But how? Thought Cardin, stunned. In an instant he was gone and appeared behind us. Cardin looked at the aura meters and noticed that his partner's aura was red. What the fuck? He exclaimed. In a second he managed to break Sky's aura. How is that possible? Mr. Winchester, Naruto spoke, with a cold voice. At that moment Cardin came out of his state of shock and observed the blonde who dropped the body of his partner, who was obviously passed out. He could no longer fight. I suggest that you don't get distracted, don't blink, and don't hesitate to attack me with everything you have, because if you don't, you'll get very hurt, Naruto warned him, with a threatening look. Cardin felt a chill when he saw Naruto's expression, which showed no emotion, only determination. He realized that Naruto wasn't joking, that he was willing to really hurt him. Cardin looked at his other two companions who were just as surprised and scared as him. He realized that they were at a disadvantage, that Naruto surpassed them in speed, strength, and skill. He wondered if they had any chance of winning, or if they would just be humiliated and defeated by Naruto. Cardin felt a mixture of fear, anger and helplessness. He couldn't accept that Naruto was better than him, that he challenged him and insulted him. He couldn't let Naruto make him feel helpless again, like when he was a child and suffered abuse from those Faunus children. He couldn't let Naruto take away his pride and reputation from him. Cardin clenched his fists and pulled out his weapon, a sledgehammer. He decided that he would not give up, that he would fight with everything he had, that he would show Naruto that he was not a coward, that he was the best. He decided that he didn't care if Naruto hurt him, that he would hurt him too, that he would make him pay for everything he had said and done to him. Cardin looked at Naruto with hatred and shouted, "Don't intimidate me, damn Faunus. I'm going to show you who's boss here. I'm going to tear you to pieces." And he rushed towards him, ready to hit him with his mace. //. This was difficult for everyone to witness. Naruto wasn't holding back in the slightest. When he immediately finished off Skylark, everyone's jaws dropped. That speed was amazing. Not even RWBY, with her specialized speed semblance, could compete with what Naruto did. She defeated him with a single move, without giving him time to react. When the rest of Team CRDL attacked, Naruto moved between their attacks fluidly. But the most surprising thing was not that he avoided them, they saw that every day when Naruto fought with the others. What surprised them was that with 2 hits he broke the CRDL team's aura. He went through it like it was paper. But Naruto didn't stop there. He was not satisfied with just breaking their aura, but he went ahead and slaughtered them. Every blow he gave afterwards was certain damage to a person's integrity, since there was no layer to protect them. His fists were like hammers that crushed her bones and organs. His kicks were like blades that cut through his muscles and tendons. His eyes were like flames that burned her hopes and his dreams. It was a completely terrifying sight. Naruto's shirt was stained with blood and so was his hands. And the only one left standing was Cardin. Glinda, the teacher in charge of supervising the combat, tried to stop it many times. But Cardin's stubbornness made her stop. He refused to give up, much less before Naruto Uzumaki. Cardin shouted angrily, still in his unprotected state, and continued to attack Naruto with everything he had. Naruto dodged and stepped on Cardin's left hamstring, causing him to kneel. He immediately punched her left cheek, splashing blood on the floor again. Cardin fell to the floor, but not unconscious. "Get up. This is not over," Naruto exclaimed calmly, but obviously furious. Carden immediately got up and attacked again. Naruto dodged it and hit him in the stomach, causing him to kneel again. But this didn't stop Naruto and he stepped on the orange-haired man's head with his bare foot, slamming him into the floor. Get up, you despicable being. I'm going to show you how inferior you are to me. Naruto shouted very furiously. Carden did so, standing up. He was in a completely horrible state. Her face was barely recognizable because of all the blood that covered it. His clothes were torn and his armor was destroyed. Her mallet was thrown off the stage. He only had his fists to defend himself. But he didn't give up. He had too much pride and too much hatred. Carden attacked angrily. He didn't care how many times Naruto knocked him down, he always got back up. Of course, the blonde at this point was holding back to prolong the battle. He wanted to make her suffer. He wanted to make him pay. He wanted to make her feel what he had felt. He wanted him to know what it was like to be humiliated, mistreated and hated. Carden ran towards Naruto again, but he just stood there, waiting for him to come closer. Once he did, Naruto grabbed his right hand and put him in a headlock, slamming him into the ground hard. But he let go of him immediately and distanced himself, waiting for him to attack again. Naruto didn't want to finish him off so quickly. He wanted to play with him like a cat with a mouse. Carden, frankly this is getting very boring, Naruto said dismissively. Show me what you're capable of. And if that's all you've got, I honestly don't know what you're doing here. Aren't you supposed to be a student at Beacon, the best hunting academy in the world? If this is the level required to enter Beacon, I am truly very disappointed, Naruto continued, smiling evilly. Carden, of the Winchester family, a line of fierce warriors who fought in the Great War, frankly I expected more from you. I expected more from someone with this type of ancestry. You were a disappointment, Carden. I am not surprised that your father deceived to your mother because her son was a complete disgrace. Those words were like a dagger to Carden's heart. His father had been a war hero, a respected and admired hunter. His mother had been a sweet and loving woman, who had raised him with love. But his father had. At that moment, Carden screamed in fury and lunged at Naruto. The Uzumaki didn't fight back, he just let the orange-haired man hit him. Everyone was surprised and his friends were worried about the young blonde. Why didn't he defend himself? Why was he letting Carden hit him like that? What was he planning? But he kept taking Carden's blows and when he stopped, Naruto was covered in blood. But there was no visible wound. It was like he just poured red paint on his face. Naruto had pretended to be hurt, to make Carden believe he had a chance. Naruto had been cruel and ruthless. What a disappointment. Carden, said Naruto, I expected more from you. I expected you to give me a good fight. I expected you to make me sweat a little. But I see that you are just a cheap bully, who doesn't know how to fight. Naruto frees himself with a kick, hitting Carden's stomach and sending him flying 3 meters away from him. Carden writhed in pain on the ground, coughing up blood. The blonde stood up, took a small handkerchief from his pocket and wiped the blood from his face. It was very fresh, like lettuce. Not caring that all his clothes were stained with blood and his hands too. Naruto laughed lightly. Ha ha ha. Whoa, looks like I hit a nerve there, right? Naruto said, throwing the bloody handkerchief to the floor and walking towards Carden, who was still trying to recover. Naruto didn't allow it. He waited for Carden to get to his knees and with a kick to the chin he made him fall onto his back. Carden was staring at Naruto from the ground, his eyes filled with hatred and fear. Naruto mocked him with a cruel smile. Naruto stood to the right of Carden's body and positioned his bare foot on the orange-haired man's wrist. Alright, it's time for you to say, I surrender, Naruto ordered in a cold voice. Fuck you, asshole, Carden responded defiantly. You still have that strong will. I admire you a lot, really. Maybe under different circumstances we would have gotten along very well, Naruto said sarcastically, but now you're just an obstacle in my way. Naruto pressed and pressed on Carden's wrist, making him feel excruciating pain. Carden screamed at the top of his lungs. Give up, Carden, Naruto exclaimed impatiently, but only a scream and the orange-haired man's refusal could be heard. Give up, Carden, your wrist is going to break, Naruto warned sternly. Naruto pressed harder and Carden screamed louder as well. Give up, I have no qualms about breaking your bones. Now, you damned idiot. Naruto threatened furiously. You think I'm going to give up on you? Fuck you, you moron. You're a damn disgusting faunus, you can't hope to be anything more than a dirty vermin, Carden insulted hatefully. Naruto put more pressure on her wrist, he was about to break her wrist bone. Carden felt like his life was slipping away with every second that passed. But he didn't want to give Naruto the pleasure of watching him beg. He preferred to die rather than surrender to him. Stop it. Then Naruto's body paralyzed. It was the likeness of Glinda, the teacher who supervised the combat. She had used her power to control the objects and stop Naruto. It's over, Naruto Uzumaki wins, the Cardinal team loses, Glinda announced in a firm voice. Naruto just stared at Cardin, he didn't care what Glinda said and put more strength into his foot. He wanted to finish what he had started. He wanted to break Cardin's wrist and make him scream in pain. He wanted to make her pay for everything he had told her. Stop it, Naruto, Glinda scolded, increasing her power. The Uzumaki didn't listen and put in more force. He resisted Glinda's semblance with his chakra. He was surprisingly strong. I said stop. You could hear the small effort Glinda was making. She didn't expect this kind of resistance from Naruto. It was as if something had taken over him. Naruto pressed even harder. Glinda was already clenching her teeth tightly. Naruto Uzumaki, I order you to. Naruto, please stop. In the distance he heard the voice of RWBY, his best friend. Naruto was surprisingly able to turn his head and looked at his friend. He could see the fear on her face. He could see the tears in her eyes. He could see the pain in his heart. This made him remember things from the past. Days when his people were afraid of him and rejected him. Days of him abandoning and betrayal. Days in which his life became hell. He couldn't stand it. He couldn't stand that look. Not in RWBY. Naruto calmed down and then Naruto realized everything he did. He saw the whole massacre. He didn't kill them, but frankly he wasn't soft on them either. He hurt them deeply. He hurt the CRDL team, but more importantly, he hurt his friends. He hurt RWBY and scared her. Naruto regretted his actions. Naruto hated himself. Naruto hung his head in shame and walked away without saying a word. It didn't matter that classes weren't over yet. It didn't matter that he had won the fight. Some of the academy students were shocked to see a young man covered in blood walking through the halls as if nothing had happened. However, no one dared to approach him or ask him what had happened to him, because his posture and gaze reflected great aggressiveness and hostility. Everyone preferred to avoid trouble and stay away from him. Naruto was aware of the impression he made on others, but he couldn't control his anger. He didn't understand why he felt that way, since he normally didn't have problems handling his anger. He had spent so many years pretending to be someone he wasn't, that he had developed some control over his emotions. But now he felt less able to do so, as if something inside him had broken or been unleashed. He entered the bedroom he shared with his team and took off his blood-stained clothes. He got into the shower and let the hot water wash his body and soul. While he was soaping up, he was wondering what the hell was happening to him. I know Cardin's words hurt me a little, but why did I react like that? I've been told worse things, but I've never hit anyone like that, he muttered to himself, remembering how he had broken Cardin's nose. Bully who had made fun of him in his past. Something is not right, something is happening to me. I'm ignoring my friends, I can't even pretend to be happy. Is it pressure? Pressure from what? Now the guy who was extorting me has already blocked his number and hasn't gotten back to me to call. Sometimes I feel outbursts of explosive anger for no reason, he continued talking to himself, trying to find an explanation for his strange behavior. That's not your thing, Naruto, he heard a voice in his head, a voice that he knew very well, but that he hadn't heard in a long time. Zorzo, so you finally deigned to talk to me, you piece of trash, son of a, he began to insult the voice. You see, you're not yourself, you haven't realized. I told you that you were holding back before, but now you're in a bad mood all day. But it's not you, Naruto, replied the fox, with a tone of concern and reproach. What do you mean? Naruto asked, confused and curious. It's the Grim Well, the place where you immersed yourself a while ago. That black substance leaked into your body and it's affecting you. Don't worry, you're in the process of purification, I'm taking care of that. You'll go back to being like before, explained the fox. Naruto sighed, relieved and grateful. Thank you, Kyuubi. Listen, I know I said very ugly things to you when I asked you for answers in the days after that. I also said hurtful things to you, I truly apologize deeply, Naruto apologized. Don't worry, I understand. You were angry, the fox accepted, with a note of understanding and forgiveness. Naruto remained silent, feeling a strange bond with the fox that lived inside him. After getting out of the shower, he dressed in new clothes, a simple white t-shirt and black shorts, nothing special. Suddenly, he heard the sound of the door opening. It was his team and Team RWBY, who had come to see him. They brought him the rest of his clothes and his weapons, which they had collected from the place where they had trained. Naruto sat on his bed and lowered his head, unable to look his friends in the eyes. He felt ashamed and guilty for having left them out and worried them. He didn't know how to explain to them what was happening to him. Naruto, RWBY's voice was heard. You left your things and we came to bring them to you, said the girl, with a kind smile and a worried look. Thank you, guys, really, thank you very much, Naruto thanked, in a dull voice and without looking up. Naruto, what happened before? Weiss spoke with doubt, what was that? The girl asked, with a tone of curiosity and fear. Naruto covered his face with his hands and sighed. Shit, that was. I'm so sorry you had to see that. Naruto apologized, remembering how he had lost control and attacked Carden and his minions. Naruto, if you have problems, you can count on us, said Nora, with her usual enthusiasm and optimism. I know, guys, don't worry. Carden's words hurt me more than I thought and it still wasn't right what I said and did. I'll apologize later. How are they? Naruto asked, with some certainty. Worry and remorse. Well, they are not in the best condition. With the injuries you caused them, they will have to spend about 4 days in the infirmary to recover well, Blake said, with a tone of reproach and compassion. Pira sat next to Naruto and took his hands. Naruto, I don't know what kind of life you've led, but if it's hard to remember, we can help you, no matter what. We'll be here to listen to you, the girl told him, with a sweet and sincere voice. Thanks, guys, but this is not the time to talk, Naruto responded, with a hint of sadness and frustration. Naruto, I think we should talk. This is becoming a problem for us, Ren said, with his usual serenity and wisdom. I said stop it. Naruto raised his voice and all his companions became tense. Damn, guys, we'll seriously talk, but not today. I'm not in the best condition, Naruto shouted, feeling how the anger took hold of him again. // Let go of me, that's enough, shouted a female voice from the other end of the dining room. It seems like those guys never learn, right? After what Naruto did to them, their discriminatory attitude didn't go away, Yang commented. Those guys disgust me, Blake said. Naruto, you should have hit them harder, so you would have taught them a lesson once and for all. Naruto stood up from his seat and walked towards Carden and his team, who were bothering a girl with bunny ears. His friends looked at him expectantly, knowing that this was not going to end well. It was not the first time that Naruto had faced Carden since he defeated him in a fight, and each time the tension was greater. Naruto said something to Carden, who got angry and grabbed him by the shirt. Naruto's friends were ready to intervene, but Professor Glinda stepped between them and separated them. There was an exchange of words that no one could hear, and in the end everyone calmed down. Naruto took out a handkerchief and offered it to the girl who had been bullied. He knelt in front of her and spoke sweetly to her, making Velvet blush at her. Naruto got up and returned to his team, who was waiting for him curiously. Really, Naruto? Weiss asked him. What? He responded, confused. Nothing. Forget it. Well, at least you've calmed down now. You're better than before, Yang said, but really, you should stop apologizing to Carden. He's not worth your attention. Maybe you're right, but I feel bad about what happened. Naruto sighed and continued eating. Yang, Dad called us and asked if we're going to Patch for the holidays, RWBY said excitedly. Of course, where else would we go? I don't know, I do want to go, but maybe you have other things to do. No, we're both going, always both of us, and there's still a month left until the holidays. They always talk about Patch, what is he like? Weiss asked. It's a small island near Vale, it's amazing. Everything is surrounded by a forest and the town of Patch is small but cozy, RWBY said proudly. Sounds calm, Blake said with an envious tone. Everyone knew the details of each other's origins, except Blake, Ren, and Nora, who were secretive about it, but knew enough to know that they weren't lying about their birthplace. And you, what is the place where you were born like, Naruto? RWBY asked innocently, but with a bit of doubt in her voice. She had noticed that Naruto always avoided talking about his past, and she was intrigued to know more about him. A small town, nothing more I have to say about that, Naruto replied dryly. He was tired of these intrusions into his privacy. He wondered why they wanted to know about him so much. They didn't need to know, there was no reason, they just had to get along. His past shouldn't even matter, and although he could possibly tell lies, he didn't like lying to them, so he preferred avoid questions. Come on, Naruto, tell me, RWBY insisted. Naruto looked up and saw RWBY's eyes, he didn't know why, but whenever he looked at her, she gave him that feeling of peace, it was downright strange. And since he couldn't tell her the truth, but he didn't want to deny her either, he proceeded to tell her cover story. I was born in a small town called Kuroyuri, near Mistral, well, not so close, in the direction of Mistral, and well, it no longer exists, Naruto said with feigned sadness. Why? What happened? RWBY said urgently, feeling sorry for him. Grim attack, Naruto said dryly, without giving further details. Ooh, I see, RWBY spoke softly, lowering her head. It seemed strange to him how Ren and Nora's gaze drilled into his head, it made him very nervous. They knew that Kuroyuri was the village where they were born, and that it had been destroyed by a giant Grim called Naklavi. How was it possible that Naruto was also from there? And what kind of Grim attacked? Ren said with a trembling voice, wanting to confirm his suspicions. I'll leave the details for later, I wouldn't want to remember, and he proceeded to eat, avoiding the topic. Why yeah, you must miss home, Naruto, Weiss said, trying to be kind. Yes, I bet it must have been a very beautiful place, Ren said, with a mixture of curiosity and suspicion, with beautiful people, always kind and lively. Everything must have been nice. Until that tragedy happened, Naruto, Nora said with a touch of melancholy, remembering her own childhood. No. Maybe it was because he was not paying attention or because of that substance, but memories of Konoha came to his mind. Naruto laughed dryly. It was not a laugh of joy, but a laugh of mockery. No, that town was rubbish, full of false and cruel people. The people of that town were not what they seemed at first glance. They were not good or lively. They were complete unfortunates. It is a shame that they cannot return. I missed the chance to destroy it and turn it into ashes. That last part was said with so much hatred that it seeped into the air, making everyone shudder. Naruto realized what he said and looked at his wide-eyed companions. Oh, for Kami's sake. Naruto hung his head in complete shame. Damn, I did it again. Naruto thought. These glimpses of violence are coming and coming again. RWBY, how long until you get all this out of my system? One day at most. This would be easier if you had full access to me, a voice in his mind responded. What about me? Naruto asked, confused. Nothing, boy, nothing to talk about, said the voice, cutting off the communication. Naruto again apologized and with an embarrassed face proceeded to leave again, leaving his friends with many questions and concerns. Wow, that was really heavy. What the hell is wrong with him? Yang exclaimed, surprised by Naruto's reaction. Yeah, what the hell is wrong with him? Ren said quietly, sensing that there was something more behind Naruto's story. // Here is the third vial. Pira, write it down please, Naruto said, handing her the container full of red sap. Yes, it's your third flask, Naruto, Pira confirmed, writing down the number in her notebook. She was in charge of keeping track of the amount of sap each team collected in the Forever Fall Forest, a mission assigned to all Beacon first-year students. The sap had healing properties and was very valuable, but it also attracted Grim, so care had to be taken. Naruto rejoined his friends, who were busy filling their own jars. They tried to keep their conversations non-personal. They were a little worried about him. The joy he exuded and the mischief he did to entertain them was gradually disappearing and they didn't know why. But curiously, today he woke up in a good mood, as if nothing had ever happened. He apologized to them again and promised that nothing like that would ever happen, but they were downright worried. No one would change their mood so quickly. Yes, I feel great. I can control myself better now. Thank you, RWBY. I feel like before, although I already apologized, I think it's not enough. You know, RWBY, I think I'll go. Okay, and I will bring the best food in the city, no matter how expensive it is, and even if I don't have a single cent, at least I have a gold bar left, Naruto said in a low voice, speaking to the entity that lived inside him. Do you know what is better than food for them? I think they would better appreciate the research you did, RWBY responded, referring to the cartridges that Naruto had designed to improve the performance of his weapons. Are you talking about the cartridges? Are they already full? Naruto asked, excited. Yes, now you can give them to him as compensation for everything that happened, said RWBY, satisfied with the result. I'll do that, friend, Naruto said, smiling. Suddenly, the whirring sound of an object approaching in their direction was heard. Naruto didn't even have to look and stopped the object with his left hand. It was a vial of sap, thrown with force. Naruto was analyzing the jar, but he didn't find anything strange. He sniffed the vial and realized it had some familiarity to it. Team CRDL, seriously, friends. I have nothing against you. I wanted to apologize, but you don't allow it, said Naruto, looking towards the place where the jar came from. A loud scream was heard and several people came out of the forest, running in terror. He realized that it was the rest of Team CRDL, who was being chased by a group of Grim. Apparently, they had tried to attack Naruto out of revenge, but had incurred the creature's wrath. Wow, looks like they got into trouble, Naruto said, with a mix of pity and irony. // Throw it now, Cardin ordered Skylark, who was holding a vial of sap in his hands. Cardin, I really think this is a bad idea. I know he beat us up, but this is too much, even for me. Do you know what will happen if he finds out it was us? Maybe he'll punish us harder than last time. And you should have too. Lark tried to reason with his leader, but was interrupted by a sharp tug on his neck. Are you implying that I'm afraid of that idiot? I'm not afraid of anything or anyone, much less that stupid guy. He said that I had given up. And that we were the same. Of course not. I'm not like a damn animal. Cardin spat the words with contempt, while glaring at Naruto, who was calmly staring at a tree, paying them no attention. So you better obey, you moron. And so do you, he shouted to the other members of his team, Russell, Dove and Sky. I am not your friend, I am your leader and you will do what I say. Lark, with no other option, threw the vial of sap towards Naruto, hoping it would hit his head. However, to the surprise of him and his companions, the jar stopped in the air, held by the hand of Naruto, who had not even bothered to look at them. This can't be. Throw another one. Carden exclaimed, furious at the failure of his plan. Carden, really, this doesn't make sense. Lark tried to dissuade him, but to no avail. I said do it. This time, Carden shouted so loudly that it echoed through the forest. Lark, scared by Carden's reaction and tired of his abuse, threw the vial hard, but not at Naruto, but at Carden. The flask broke over his head, spilling the sap over his body and clothes. Carden and the others realized his grave mistake, because this wise woman had the peculiarity of attracting the grim, wild beasts that attacked humans. They didn't know how that worked, but they knew it was dangerous. The others, without a second thought, ran off, leaving behind their leader, who was surrounded by the approaching grim. Carden saw that there were 6 grim, of different shapes and sizes, but he was not intimidated. He stayed to fight, determined to prove his bravery. He wasn't going to run away. He wasn't a coward, no matter what Naruto had told him. He didn't give up and never would. He fought fiercely against those beasts, using his weapon and skills, but they were too many for him. It was inevitable that he would lose in the end. After killing 2 grim, only 3 remained, who continued to attack him mercilessly. He was already exhausted and injured, and he couldn't avoid the next blow that sent him crashing to the ground. He tried to make room and recover, but it was useless. The beasts attacked him again, ready to end his life. But when the nearest beast was going to deliver the final blow, it was cut in half. Carden saw that he was a recognizable and annoying figure at the same time. Naruto Uzumaki had come to his rescue. What the hell are you doing? I can handle these beasts, I don't need your help, he shouted angrily, as he stood up from the ground. I know, Naruto said, calmly. Don't worry, I was just passing by. Naruto looked at Carden with a serious expression. You know, Carden, I saw it all. Despite being at a disadvantage, you kept fighting and faced those beasts. Naruto paused, then continued. The words I said to you were completely unacceptable, Carden. I should not have spoken like that and I was obviously wrong about you. Despite all your faults, I know that you would never run away from anything. You are not a coward. What the hell do you think you're doing? This isn't over. There are still enemies. Carden pointed angrily at the grim who were approaching behind Naruto, ready to attack. Naruto didn't even bother to look at them and reached out his hand, forming a rapidly spinning blue sphere of chakra. He threw her at the nearest grim, with such force that he dragged the other 2 and shattered several trees before they vanished. Due to the impact, Carden was thrown and fell backwards to the ground, looking at Naruto in shock. How did you do that? He asked, incredulous. But he snapped out of his shock and frowned. Are you crazy? Are you a complete idiot? After everything we've been through, you're still trying to help me. Are you crazy? He snapped at her, furious. The truth is that we are both to blame for what happened that day, but I at least try to apologize. That is a sign of madness or rather idiocy, Naruto replied, calmly. Naruto saw Carden trying to get up and extended his hand as a gesture of goodwill, but Carden rejected it. Don't touch me, I don't need your pity, you damned idiot. Get away from me, he ordered, with contempt. Carden, I came here especially to apologize for what happened. If you could listen to me, Naruto begged, sincerely. I don't need to hear you. You don't understand, I don't want to hear you. Get away now or I'll have to fight you. I don't care that we're in the middle of this forest, I'll keep fighting just to hurt you, Carden threatened, with resentment. Naruto knelt down to his height and smiled sadly, looking him straight in the eyes. It's painful, isn't it, Carden? He asked him, with compassion. What are you talking about? Carden asked, confused. It's hard to forget what happened to you and everything they've done to you. You can tell yourself that it doesn't matter, that you're over it, but the pain persists and eats away at your soul, Naruto explained softly. Stop talking. You don't know anything about me, I don't know how the hell you knew about my mother, Carden interrupted, with anguish. You know very well that it wasn't your fault, you know it deep down, but you can't help but feel guilty and in the end you believed it, you believed everything they said about you, Naruto told him, with conviction. But I don't think that. I think that you are a good person, that you just need an opportunity to change, to be better, Naruto told him, with encouragement. Carden hugged his knees and covered his ears, not wanting to hear any more. Shut up, shut up, shut up. Dirty animal. Carden's voice broke, he didn't know why, but Naruto's words reached his heart and made him remember. I know how difficult it is and even if you tell yourself that you are no longer that scared child, that you are already strong and that you don't need anyone, the pain is still there and it hurts you, Naruto told him, with understanding. Carden looked up and looked into Naruto's eyes and remembered. He remembered the happy days when he was little, he remembered his house, he remembered his beautiful home, it was a rich family, he had everything he wanted, food, clothes, toys, but no I knew why it happened. His father cheated on his mother with a Faunus servant who worked there and had an illegitimate child with her, his father preferred to stay with that child and the servant. Maybe it was because he thought Carden was useless, that he wasn't strong enough. He tried to prove it to her many times, but it was never enough for his father. And in those days little Carden watched helplessly as his mother walked away from him. Maybe it was because he was a lot like his father and his mother hated him, or because she simply blamed him for not being good enough. Carden tried to understand what had happened. He tried to find the culprit of all this. He blamed himself many times. He blamed life. He blamed circumstances, and it was easier for the boy to direct all his hatred towards the fawns, because if it weren't for them, his father wouldn't have cheated on his mother, and so he did. He developed a fierce hatred towards them. Although in truth, he never wanted it to be like that. He wanted to play with them and have fun, but that pain in his soul made his heart hate them deeply. He didn't want to do it. Many times he tried to get over it, but he couldn't. No matter how many times he told himself he was strong enough, he couldn't forget the pain. His eyes betrayed him. His tears ran down his face. You have done very well, Carden. You have come this far on your own, Naruto told him, with admiration. Stop it, please, Carden begged, anguished. I know you don't hate me, Carden. You've never hated anyone. I know that the kind young man you once were is still in there. You hid it so deep that you already forgot that you're not like that, Naruto told him, excitedly. Carden lowered his head, unable to look at him. I'm not like him anymore. I'm strong. I don't need any of this, Carden told him, with rejection. I know, you are strong. I have seen it with my own eyes. You are brave, but we are still missing something. Do you know what that is, Carden? Naruto asked him, curiously. I don't want to know anything about your nonsense, Carden replied. We lack trust in the world, trust in situations and trust in people, trust that they are not as bad as we think they are, Naruto explained, wisely. Naruto extended his hand to Carden again, waiting for him to take it. Let's start again, Carden, and this time there will be no misunderstandings between us. Start again and do things right from the beginning, Naruto proposed, optimistically. Why you think there's even a chance for me? I no longer have a chance. Look at the things I've done, he said with a broken voice. Who's going to trust me? Who's going to believe that? Am I really going to change? He asked, desperately. I will trust you. Those words surprised Carden. So come, give me your hand, help me help you, Naruto told him, lovingly. Carden pushed Naruto's hand away and stood up, still teary-eyed. Damn crazy man, get away from me, he said, with anger. She then ran in the opposite direction of Naruto, trying to wipe the tears from his eyes. Naruto watched him leave, but he put a smile on his face. He knew that Carden hadn't really rejected him. He was just confused. He couldn't understand that someone could believe in him, despite all the mistakes he had made. He heard someone calling him. Then Naruto turned around and saw that it was his friend slowly approaching him. Hello guys, how are you? What you saw was very embarrassing. Please don't tell anyone. He told them, sadly. They saw that he had recovered that smile that they always liked to see, that wide and sincere smile. Guys, why are you looking at me like that? You make me nervous. I know I like a little attention, but having so many girls at the same time overwhelms me, especially if they are as beautiful as you. Don't be offended, Ren. Your look also intimidates me, he told them, flirtatiously. Naruto had returned to how he was before and his friends were happy about that. Of course they still had that problem with their life and their past, but for the moment they could put it aside. / Open double angle bracket. If you want to stay healthy and strong, you should drink a lot of hot milk. Close double angle bracket. How hot must it be? Naruto asked his companions who followed him. Open double angle bracket. We have no idea. Close double angle bracket, they responded in unison. You are doing a good job, but you can do better. We still have 2 kilometers to go. Don't give up, the blonde encouraged them. How is it possible that you have so much resistance? Carden complained, exhausted. A week had passed since the confrontation between Naruto and Carden, and no one expected this turn of events. Now, the two got along wonderfully, as if they had always been friends. The blonde's friends were at first skeptical that Naruto was friends with Carden, but he assured them that Carden was a good person and wasn't as evil as he seemed. And the truth was, he wasn't. Carden showed that he was willing to change, and apologized to his friends for everything he had done. He even apologized to Velvet in the middle of the dining room, kneeling before her and lowering his head. It was a bit of a weird scene, but it was well received. Mind you, that didn't stop Velvet's team from giving him a beating as punishment, but he took it like a champ. Of course, his friends still had some doubts, but they trusted his leader's decision and accepted it. They also joined the training days with the NNPR team. I think I'm going to fall, said Dove, panting. Don't worry, Ren said, with a calm voice. This is almost over, just 2 more km and we'll be done. Don't forget, afterwards we will do 200 push-ups, Naruto reminded them, with a smile. Really? Russell Thrush exclaimed, even more tiredly. // Buark. Alright, drop it all, Drop it all, Naruto said to Carden, who was bent over, dumping everything he had eaten before. Very good, this has been a very productive day. I have to say, you guys have some of the worst resistance I've ever seen. The entire CRDL team was so exhausted that they didn't even have the strength to replicate what Naruto said. But we can improve that. They have good potential. We'll go from there. But we're already out of time. See you on Thursday. I won't forget. Same time, same place, Naruto said, as Carden tried to crawl on the ground. He was so tired he could barely move properly. I still can't get used to this, Pyrrha said, with a grimace. What are you talking about? About the Cardinal team. The truth is, Naruto, and I'm going to tell you honestly, I don't trust them. Naruto didn't answer anything and just continued walking towards his bedroom with his friends behind him. They took a shower. Of course, that had to be done separately because otherwise it would be very embarrassing. Everyone put on more comfortable clothes, except Naruto, who was preparing for the detention he had with Glinda. That was already something common for his friends, because Naruto had told them about the punishment that was in force, and of course, he had also told them. Surprised the first time they saw him with Professor Oobleck, helping him with classes. They heard the sound of the door opening. They saw it was the rest of Team RWBY. Hey, how's it going? Coming back from training? Yang shouted, excitedly. Yes, said Nora, a little tired. The truth is that Naruto wanted to evaluate the CRDL team's skills. Oh, right, how are things going with them? Weiss asked, curiously. Well, they're going well for now, said Nora, with a smile. You know, said RWBY, maybe they haven't caused any problems, but I'm still a little suspicious of this. A week ago they almost hurt Naruto. You know Naruto, Blake was serious or more serious than normal. I don't want to tell you this, but I really don't trust those people. You shouldn't hate them, but it's not like I want you to be their friend. Come on guys, they're not that bad. They're good people. I trust them and I believe. Just like you trust us. Ren interrupted, frowning. Shit, Naruto muttered. Really, guys? Are we going to have this discussion now? The entire room was silent. They did not expect this type of fight again. It had been a week since they had the last one and frankly they did not want it, and the most surprising thing was that Ren started it. Naruto sighed and ran a hand through his hair, trying to calm himself. Okay, guys, listen, I know it bothers you that I don't tell you anything about my life, but I think you can imagine why I don't want to. Yes, why don't you want to do it? Yang asked, a little tired. Well, because obviously I don't want to remember it, because it was a shitty life. That's why, Naruto, Weiss said, I know you may be in pain, but it's good to talk about it, it will help you heal. I don't understand it, but like I said, it's not necessary. Naruto, please understand that we want to know you, as you know us, Nora expressed her feelings. Naruto, I really think we should talk about this, you know, it's very dangerous to keep things to yourself, please, Blake said, with a pleading tone. Don't insist, I don't want to hear that from you, so let's leave the topic. Guys, please, I don't want to talk about this, don't mention it again, said Naruto, firmly. When he was going to leave, Yang took him by his arm. Naruto, please, we have to talk about this. That week you spent after that incident, you acted a little strange. We don't know what happened to you, but we are worried. Yang said, with concern. Alright, friends, Naruto said, and shook his arm to free himself from Yang. I don't understand what the problem is with you. They all looked at each other, but they didn't know what he meant, really. What is the problem? I'm not nice to you. Why yes, RWBY said, her voice shaking. Do I not help you when you need me? Am I not collaborative with you? Am I a bad leader? He specifically asked his team. And no, everyone responded in a low voice. So, what is the need for you to know everything about me? The only thing you need to know is that I am your partner. I am your friend. There is no special reason for you to know about me. Why do you do it? Yang replied, what do you have to hide? I have nothing to hide. I just don't want to talk about it. Little by little Naruto's patience was running out. These guys really didn't stop insisting. Pyrrha gathered her courage and faced Naruto. I don't understand what the problem is. I don't know why you're always lying to us. Don't you trust us? Pyrrha reproached him with pain. Naruto felt a prick in his heart, seeing the expression of Pyrrha, who was one of the people he loved the most. He didn't want to lie to them, or hide anything from them, but he also didn't want to tell them about his past, which was so dark and painful, that he preferred to forget it. Naruto was fed up. His patience was running out, and it wasn't because of the substance, it was because of the mere curiosity of his classmates and he couldn't stand it. He was already arriving too late for Glinda's punishment. She would be furious and it was the last thing I needed. Listen, guys, I'm late for detention. We're not going to talk about this topic. No more, Naruto told them, dryly. Naruto was going to turn around, but was grabbed by the shoulders by Pyrrha. Curiously, she was more aggressive than normal. He had never seen her this bold. No, she screamed. I'm tired, Naruto. Please, this could be a problem for us. We don't have full confidence in you, Pyrrha told him, with anguish. That was the breaking point for Naruto. Don't you trust me? He grabbed Pyrrha's hands and pushed her away, crashing into the rest of his friends. What the hell do you want to know? Said Naruto, already furious. What the hell do you need to know about me? What do you want to know about me? I'm a damn orphan. Do you want to know that? Naruto. RWBY was scared. Did you want to know that I am a damn orphan? That I lived in an orphanage until they kicked me out? That I had to live on the street eating from the garbage? That I hunted in the forest to find food because I couldn't pay it? That's what you wanted to hear from me, friends. You guys are seriously stupid. All his friends were a little tense at Naruto's reaction. It was the second time they had seen him like this, and frankly it was very terrifying. Naruto's voice was breaking. The last thing he wanted was to remember all his experiences, remember his entire life was the last thing he wanted, and frankly if he could erase his memory, he would have done it a long time ago. Is that what? What did they want to hear from me? That the town I lived in hated what I was, they didn't care that I was a child. Naruto lowered his voice, he was holding it in because at any moment he could break down and start crying. What the reason I train until I drop is because they treated me like garbage my whole life and they called me a loser and that I could never aspire to be more than that, a damn loser. That's what you wanted to hear from my Naruto. I didn't want to, Pyrrha said with a trembling voice, trying to get closer to him. To hell with this, Naruto shouted again, I don't want this. This is the last thing I want. I don't want anyone's sympathy. I never had it and I don't need it now. Go to hell. The blonde opened the door and slammed it shut. He ran towards the roof of the building. What he didn't realize was that Glinda was near the NNPR team room, because she was looking for Naruto. It was very strange that it took so long, so he decided to investigate, but no. I was hoping to come across this discussion. Glinda was paralyzed, hearing Naruto's words, which revealed a part of her past that she did not know. She knew Naruto had a difficult history, but she didn't imagine he was so terrible. This was very strange for Glinda to see. She was on the roof, looking for her best student. There was no one like Naruto Uzumaki in all her years as an educator here in Beacon. He was polite and helpful, but above all he was diligent. She couldn't believe that someone like him existed on Remnant. He graduated from the Empire Institution at the age of 13, a prodigy in every sense, but now I knew him better. He was not a genius, he was just a boy who worked harder than anyone else, but all this effort was due to a feeling of inferiority that he had. He did not want to feel inferior to anyone, he wanted to show everyone that what they said about him was not true, that he was more. Glinda completely opened the door that gave access to the roof. There she found Naruto sitting on a balcony crying. She stood right behind the boy. She was staring at him. She didn't know how to approach that topic. She was a teacher, but she never had the opportunity to comfort one of her students. She was always distant with them. She was strict, but it was always for her. Well, but I had a certain affection for this young man. Naruto, she spoke. The young man recognized her voice and tried to wipe away his tears to pretend that he was fine. Miss Goodwitch, how are you? Forgive me for not making it to your detention. As you can see, I'm not in a position to go now. Don't worry, I'll take whatever punishment you have for me, Glinda told him, understandingly. Glinda simply watched him. Naruto, are you okay? Glinda asked him, worriedly. Yes, I'm fine, why the question? Naruto responded, evasive. The teacher simply remained silent. I see, said Naruto, with understanding, you saw everything, right? You don't have to worry, I'm going to fix it, I'll make sure it doesn't happen again, Naruto told him, with determination. Glinda moved from her place and went to the balcony where Naruto was. She sat next to her student and caressed his head with her hand. You have done very well, Naruto, Glinda told him, proudly. I know, answered the young blonde, modestly. You have done very well, Glinda repeated, with emphasis. I know, you don't have to repeat it to me, Miss Goodwitch, Naruto told her, shyly. Well, it seems like they don't tell you very often, right? I'm very proud of you. I'm proud of how far you've come on your own, Naruto. There's no one better than you. You've done incredible, he told her. Said Glinda, admiringly. Naruto's lips curled and he began to cry again. Thank you very much. I'm sorry. I shouldn't look like this. I'm supposed to be firm. I didn't want to yell at my classmates, but they told me. They made me remember. And I didn't want to. They didn't deserve any of that. They didn't deserve my words and they didn't deserve that hate, Naruto told him, with guilt. Talk to them. I know you didn't mean anything like that. You were just angry. Don't worry. They will forgive you. They will understand. They will even always be there with open arms for you. At the end of the day, you are their friend and you belong with them, Glinda told him, lovingly. Thank you, Miss Goodwitch, Naruto said, gratefully. You're welcome. She smiled broadly. Naruto had to admit what was already obvious to him. Glinda Goodwitch was the most beautiful woman he had ever seen in his short life. The two remained silent, but it was a comforting silence. Naruto was relaxed in the company of his teacher. He felt safe and protected with her. He felt understood and accepted by her. He felt loved and valued by her. Miss Goodwitch, can I ask you a favor? Naruto said, his voice soft. Anything, Glinda told him, in a sweet voice. Can you stay with me a little longer? I don't like being alone, Naruto said, with a sad voice. Glinda felt a pang in her heart, hearing Naruto's request, which revealed his loneliness and need for affection. She realized that Naruto had no one but his friends, that he had no family to care for him, that he had no home to feel comfortable in. She wondered what Naruto's life had been like, what horrors he had experienced, what traumas he had suffered. Glinda hugged Naruto tenderly and said in a warm voice. Of course, Naruto, of course, I will stay with you as long as you want. I will not leave you alone. I will never leave you alone, I promise. Naruto felt anxious and distraught as he stood in front of the door to his room, where he knew his friends were. He had gathered the courage to face them, but he still found it difficult to take the step. He took a deep breath and opened the door. It was 11 at night and Team RWBY hadn't left. They were all there, waiting for him. Naruto stared at them and smiled sheepishly. Hello guys, how are you? He greeted, closing the door behind him and approaching them. At that moment, everyone stood up and surrounded Naruto with a collective hug. Naruto was stunned by this reaction. He wasn't expecting it. Glinda was right. They would always support him, welcome him with open arms. When they let go, Naruto walked towards their bed, lowering his head, unable to look them in the eyes. He sat on the edge and slapped his hands on his knees in frustration. He then got up again and knelt on the ground. He reached under the bed and pulled out a box 20 centimeters wide by 80 centimeters long. He opened it in front of his companions, showing them the contents. Everyone in the room looked curiously at what was in the box. They were powder cartridges, but they didn't look normal. They had a small piece of paper taped to it with strange writing that no one recognized. This is part of the investigation I mentioned before. I want you to accept it as an apology, Naruto said in a serious voice. Naruto, RWBY intervened. You don't have to do this. We're putting too much pressure on you. No. No, they shouldn't have done it, but that doesn't justify me yelling at them, saying those things to them. They are my friends. I should have been more understanding, more patient. Guys, please forgive me for everything I said to you. Naruto apologized sincerely. Naruto, Ren's voice was heard calling him. You don't need to do this to have our forgiveness. I was the one who started the fight. It was for something personal. The truth is that Naruto. The town where you lived, also. No, forget it. It's not important. We'll talk later, Ren said, avoiding the topic. Naruto looked at him confused, but decided not to insist. Naruto called Pira, who knelt next to him and gave him something. It was a bowl of ramen, her favorite food. Naruto was pleasantly surprised by the detail. They knew how much he liked that dish. He accepted it and thanked him. Thank you, Naruto said with a smile. Pira took her hand and placed it on Naruto's cheek, stroking his whiskers gently. Naruto felt a tingle and purred involuntarily. Naruto, I want you to listen to this. I trust you completely, we all do. What I told you that time was not true. I was angry with you. You are everyone's best friend, but I want to know more about you. I want to know you. I don't know anything about you, Naruto. I actually wanted to know more, but I was stubborn and didn't want to wait. I was just arguing with you, Pira told him sweetly. Pira, the blonde whispered. So let's continue as before, she continued, staring at him and smiling sweetly at the blonde. Her smile was like that of an angel, and although he had never seen one, this had to be the closest thing to an angel's smile. We can continue as before, and when you have time, instead of avoiding me, tell me your stories, she proposed. Naruto smiled widely. Okay, but are you sure? My stories are a little sad, he warned. Pira told Naruto firmly that she wanted to hear his stories, that she wanted to know everything he had experienced, suffered, and achieved. She wanted to know who he really was. Naruto felt his heart fill with warmth. Pira was the first person to show him so much interest, so much affection. Maybe she was more than a friend to him. Maybe she was his angel. The two laughed at the same time, as if they were in their own world, oblivious to the others. When the laughter stopped, Naruto stared at the bowl of ramen in his hands. Do you know why I like ramen so much, guys? He asked, hoping that his friends would pay attention to him. Everyone looked at him curiously, waiting for him to tell them a story. Naruto took a deep breath and began to speak. When I was little, I didn't have money to buy food and I couldn't go hunting in the forest because it was raining a lot that day. I was wandering around the town, aimlessly, and the rain got me completely wet. I sought refuge at a food stall called Ichiraku Ramen. The truth is that at that time I didn't know what ramen was or what they sold there. Normally, store owners kicked me out of their stores, so I tried not to attract attention. But curiosity got the better of me and I stuck my head out to see what kind of store it was. I saw an old man who was there, preparing the food. When he saw me, I hid scared, but he smiled. It was the first time that happened to me, the first time that someone did not look at me with hatred and contempt. The old man motioned for me to come closer, gave me a towel to dry myself, and served me a plate of ramen. Never. I had seen a dish like that, and the first time I tried it, I loved it. I liked it so much that I devoured it right away. The old man laughed at me and his daughter too. She was very pretty and nice. From that moment on, that was my favorite food stall. I came almost every day when I had money, and when I didn't have any, he would buy me a plate of ramen. He was like my family. Naruto couldn't hold back the tears and they escaped from his eyes, falling into the bowl of ramen. He was a very good man, very generous, too much for his own good. I'm sure I caused him a lot of trouble, but he always served me a bowl of ramen. His daughter was very kind to me. They treated me like a son. Pira's arms wrapped around him, comforting him. Naruto saw that everyone in the room was crying with him, sharing his pain. I miss them so much, I miss the old man so much. And I couldn't even say goodbye to him, Naruto said, sobbing. Mental landscape. Hola, Zoro. Naruto greeted as he entered the mental space where the seal that imprisoned the Nine Tails was located. Brat, the fox replied disdainfully, showing his sharp teeth. You know what you've come for, right? Yes, and you know what I'm going to tell you. It's no, replied the fox, refusing to cooperate with the young ninja. Naruto simply smiled, not showing any sign of anger or frustration at the fox's attitude. How have you been? Is life treating you well? Cut the nonsense, Naruto. This week has been a pain for me. Whining and feelings spread everywhere. It's disgusting, the fox complained, referring to the emotions he had sensed from Naruto through the seal. Come on, Kyuubi, that's how we humans are. We are very fickle. At one moment we are sad and at another we are happy, Naruto said optimistically. Let's make a deal, he proposed, changing the subject. Well, now you're speaking a little of my language. What will you give me in exchange for information? The fox asked, interested in Naruto's offer. Give me the information I want and I will open the seal that imprisons you. Naruto responded, willing to risk it to get the truth. It's a good deal, the fox accepted, I accept. Understood, Naruto said, slowly approaching the seal and placing his hands on it. Little by little, he began to tear it with his chakra. Wait, stupid, the fox shouted, stopping Naruto in his tracks. What are you talking about? Didn't you want me to open the seal? Yes, but are you stupid? How do you know that I'm not going to betray you as soon as you open the seal? I could scam you. You should ask for the information first. You shouldn't be so confident, the fox warned him, trying to make him see reason. Naruto simply hung his head and smiled wistfully. It's ironic, right, Zoro? He said, remembering his past. What are you talking about? Asked the fox, without understanding. I gave my absolute trust to people who gave me so little and to you who have given me so much. I don't have full trust in you, Naruto confessed, seeing the seal again. It's time to change that, he decided, and proceeded to open it again. Your mother was Kushina Uzumaki, she was locked in her before you. When she was in childbirth, the seal weakened and I took the opportunity to escape. But as soon as I came out, I realized that I did not have full control of my body. There is a period of time in which I simply attacked the village, but when I regained consciousness, I killed your mother, Brat, the fox revealed to him, telling him the truth about the attack the village suffered the day Naruto was born. Naruto clenched his fists, but calmed down again. Why? Why did you do it? He asked, wanting to know the fox's motive. What choice did I have, Naruto? Do you think I like being locked up here? I wanted my freedom. I wasn't always in a cell, just like you. They treated me like a weapon, the fox justified, explaining his situation. Naruto smiled widely at the fox. I promise you something, my friend. You will regain your freedom, just wait until I die, he said in a happy tone. You will be free, don't worry, I will not lock you in any other body, nor in a container, that is a promise. He assured her, showing his kindness. For an instant, the fox's vision changed to a man, an old man with a wrinkled smile. He was the sage of the six paths, the creator of the bijus. The fox felt a strange sense of familiarity and nostalgia upon seeing him. The fox smiled. Yes, I can trust your word, you have never broken a promise. Very well, break the seal and I warn you, once you do, you will have full access to my power. I will teach you everything I have learned in my long life, and I will tell you everything about your parents, about the life you don't know about and everything they have hidden from you, the fox offered, willing to share his secrets with Naruto. Well, full access to your power and information of all the things you know. Are you sure I'm not the one scamming you, friend? Naruto joked. Ha ha ha, you wish, brat. From now on we are partners, the only thing that can free me from you is death. The fox laughed, accepting the bond with Naruto. Yes, it's like a happy marriage, said Naruto. Don't make it weird, please. Alright, RWBY, let's get started. Naruto exclaimed, excited to begin his new adventure with the fox. It's Kurama, the fox corrected him, revealing his true name. What? Naruto asked, surprised. My name is Kurama, the fox repeated, hoping that Naruto would remember it. The blonde smiled and the fox smiled back. Wow, nice to meet you, Kurama. Now let's get started, Naruto said, using the fox's name for the first time. Yes, Kurama responded, feeling a strange emotion upon hearing his name from Naruto's mouth. 3. Naruto counted, preparing to break the seal. 2. Kurama continued, joining the count. 1. The two finished, synchronizing their voices. Open up. They shouted in unison, releasing the power of the fox and opening a new stage in their lives. //. Damn, I can't even move a muscle, I'm exhausted. Who am I? Where am I? Why do I feel this stabbing pain in my head? Open double angle bracket Sasuke-kun close double angle bracket. A sweet and familiar voice resonates in my mind, like a distant echo. But who is she? I don't see her, there is only darkness around me. Open double angle bracket Naruto, you're a loser close double angle bracket. Another voice, this time mocking and arrogant, provokes and challenges me. I see it, there is only emptiness in my heart. Open double angle bracket fight me, Sasuke close double angle bracket. He insists, as always, seeking my attention and my recognition. He wants me to show him my power, to show him my value. But I don't want to fight, I just want to escape, that's wrong, I don't run away. Open double angle bracket that idiot, really, what's good about him? He's nothing more than a show-off close double angle bracket. I say, to myself, something is not right, whose voices are those? Who am I? Open double angle bracket Naruto, close double angle bracket. Open double angle bracket Sasuke, close double angle bracket. I think my name is, Sasuke. The Vital Festival, Weiss Schnee exclaimed with a radiant smile, as she looked at the large banner hanging over the main street, which read, Welcome to Valley, in colorful letters. This is incredible. His voice reflected his excitement for the event that was held every 4 years, and which brought together the best hunting academies in the world. Wow, Weiss, I've never seen you so happy about something. Are you sure you haven't had something to drink? RWBY joked, placing her hand on her waist and looking at her teammate curiously. How can I not be happy? Weiss replied, without losing her smile. It is a festival that celebrates the diversity and culture of different nations, it is a unique opportunity. She continued, listing with her fingers. There will be dances, parades, a tournament, and many other activities. Oh, I can imagine the work and planning it has taken to organize all this, it is simply impressive. Yang yawned and sighed at the same time, showing her boredom at Weiss' speech. I don't know how you turn something good into something so tedious, Weiss, she commented, rolling her eyes. Shut up, Yang, Weiss snapped, frowning. Hey, why do we have to waste our Friday afternoon visiting these ugly docks? Yang asked, changing the subject. It smells like fish. RWBY complained, covering her nose with a hand and making a disgusted face. I have heard that the students of Vacuo will arrive today by ship, and as a representative of Beacon, I believe it is my solemn duty to welcome them to this wonderful kingdom. Weiss explained, with a proud and formal tone. Weiss, you proclaimed yourself the representative of Beacon, the true official and authorized representative of Ozpin is Naruto, the best student. And even he knows that this is a waste of time, that's why he's not here, wasting his weekend. Weak. Yang scoffed, making Weiss angrier. What he wants is to spy on them to have an advantage in the tournament, interjected Blake, who had been silent until then. That's not true, Weiss shouted, offended. Besides, this will be good for you, Blake. You were depressed for a week. Weiss added, trying to convince her. It's not true, Blake denied, crossing her arms. Of course, you were depressed by the end of the book, I can't believe that obscene book affected you so much. Weiss insisted, referring to the book Blake had been passionately reading. That book is not obscene, it is a work of art, don't you dare insult it, Blake defended, with a twinkle in his eye. I agree with Blake, that book is very good, for its genre. Said Yang, who had also read it. And you're reading it too, Weiss. Don't think I haven't seen you borrow it from time to time, now that Blake finished it, Yang accused, with a malicious smile. I wanted to know why Blake was so depressed, why all the fuss over a book. I have to admit that it was very good, actually. The world is described in an incredible way and the setting is fascinating. But it's very descriptive. Weiss said, quietly, blushing. Sure, Yang said, ironically. But seriously, I stayed on the part about Zabuza and Haku, that story is very interesting. How I hate Zabuza, and Haku is a sweetheart, I wonder how that will end. At that moment, Blake put a hand to her chest, as if it hurt her. Oh, my own, why did it end like this? Zabuza and Haku, they deserve to be together. Damn Naruto, how is it possible that you write those things? You have broken my beautiful heart, you will pay me back, he said, dramatically. I wonder what Naruto is doing. I didn't find him in the morning. RWBY interrupted, changing the subject and looking at her classmates with her attention. He's probably doing his thing, whatever he's doing is better than being here. Yang said, shrugging. Ka-boom. An explosion was heard that shook the ground and raised a cloud of dust. Russell, cover me, Russell, be careful, Russell, don't get distracted, Russell, Cardin shouted, while he fired his gun at the silhouettes that moved between the trees. Ka-boom. Another explosion blew Russell into the air, leaving Cardin unprotected. Russell, Cardin screamed, watching his partner fall to the ground, unconscious. Pyrrha, I need help. I'm not going to resist anymore. Cardin pleaded, retreating before the enemy's advance. I'm busy, Cardin. They're attacking me from all sides. Ren, help me, Pyrrha responded, who was surrounded by projectiles that she was trying to deflect with her shield and spear. I can't get close, said Ren, who was trapped behind a rock, trying to dodge the grenades that were thrown at him. Guys, come on, you're making it too easy. It shouldn't be that simple. Quick, remember everything you've learned. Encouraged them Naruto, who was sitting on a branch, watching the scene with a mocking smile. Go to hell, Naruto. We never learned anything from this, shouted Sky, who was running from one side to the other, looking for a safe place to hide. But Sky, we're supposed to be hunters. They should have at least a theoretical knowledge of some of this, Naruto told him, sarcastically. How the hell are they everywhere? Sky exclaimed, seeing that there was no way to escape from his attackers. It's just that we are not everywhere, obviously they are trapdoors. What's wrong, guys? It seems that the pressure is making you stupid, Naruto explained to them, with amusement. Damn, Ren, are you there? Pyrrha asked, worried for her teammate. Yes, I'm next to you, replied Ren, who had managed to get to her, using his appearance to go unnoticed. When did you get here? Pyrrha asked, surprised. Recently. This is not right, Pyrrha. They are overwhelming us. Where are they coming from? Ren told her, looking around nervously. Come on, everyone. 12 o'clock. Let's go, Pyrrha ordered, seeing an opportunity to escape. He took the first step, but it was a mistake. If he had paid attention, he would have noticed a small bump on the ground. Biome, stay still. Stay still, Pyrrha said, alarmed. We are. It seems that this field is mined and we enter it. Damn, Sky thought, paralyzed by fear. How did we get to this? It just can't be. How do we get here? Flashback. Alright, guys, said Naruto, clapping in the middle of the Emerald Forest. Now you'll wonder why I brought you here. Yes, they all said sleepily, yawning and rubbing their eyes. It's fucking 6 in the morning, Naruto. Cardin protested. And why are we in the middle of the Emerald Forest? Very good question, my young friend. As you know, the Vital Festival will start in 3 weeks. So I came up with the great idea of preparing for this event. We will represent Beacon, we are the best of the best and the best academy in all of Remnant. We can't afford to lose to any other academy, Naruto told them, enthusiastically. Therefore, I have developed an intensive 2-week course to prepare us for what is coming at this festival. All sponsored by your young and handsome leader and friend, Naruto added, pointing at himself with his thumb. That doesn't explain why we're here at 6 in the morning, Ren yawned, not showing much interest. True, listen to me. We have to do this early, because it is to get used to it. You have to have good habits and one of them is to always be ready for any mission, no matter what time, wherever and under what conditions we are, Naruto explained to them, seriously. Don't worry, this is very interesting, Naruto said, turning his back on them and walking towards a clearing. Listen, you will have full access to all your weapons, free access to your likeness and any type of weaponry that you have at your disposal. I mean, you only have your weapons, but you get the idea. You can use anything, he told them. Naruto, while he took out a box full of grenades from his backpack and distributed them between him and Nora. Nora, come here, Naruto called. Me? Nora asked, curiously. Yes, you. Come here now, Naruto ordered, firmly. She walked over and stood next to his leader. Alright, friends, Naruto said, pointing to the rest of the NNPR team and the CRDL team. Nora and I are going to be your opponents, Naruto announced with a confident smile. Are you serious, Naruto? Ren asked in disbelief. I don't doubt your strength, but don't be so arrogant either. Calm down, guys, I'm going to explain the situation to you. It turns out that there are two bandits who are dedicated to extorting and robbing the towns of a remote region. That's why two hunters were sent, said Naruto, pointing to Ren and Pira, to capture them and deliver them to justice. But that's not all. It turns out that these two bandits have just kidnapped a counselor of a very important kingdom, and their specific mission is to rescue him. The two hunters entered the forest where the bandits' base is supposed to be, but first they asked for reinforcements from a group of hunters. That's where you come in, Team Cardinal. Your mission is to save the councilman. Here's this map, Naruto said, tossing them a piece of paper. This is the direction you should go. Nora and I will be in charge of preventing them from reaching their destination. We are the two bandits and we have to hunt the hunter. So good luck, guys. You have 10 minutes to prepare. We are already leaving. Nora, follow me. Sure. Naruto. Naruto put his arm around Nora's neck and hugged her. You're going to love this. End of flashback. Yes, that's how it was. After the 10 minutes passed, we walked in the direction indicated on the map and that's when it all started. Shots could be heard from the trees, from the corners, from behind us, from everywhere. But never, we were able to find the origin. And we stayed like that all afternoon. In fact, it is very strange that their auras endured so much punishment. Naruto clarified that the cartridges were low impact, meaning they wouldn't do any serious damage, but they did hurt a lot. And now we were all paralyzed because we had entered a minefield. We couldn't move without setting off some explosive. Alright, guys, how are you? Naruto said, appearing to Pira's right, but unable to get close to her. Naruto Uzumaki came out of the tree where he had hidden and stood to the right of the two teams. It seems like they've held up pretty well, but it's disappointing that they've done nothing more than hold on. Can you imagine if those bullets had been from a high-powered cartridge? They wouldn't be alive now. I love these types of challenges and I would like to congratulate myself for this trap, but the truth is that it was Nora's idea. She was very ingenious, it didn't even occur to me to put a minefield. Good job, Nora, shouted the blonde. Gracias. What? Like it was Nora's idea? Cardin exclaimed, indignant, how can she be so cruel? Oh, come on, Cardin, don't be so dramatic, Nora said, with a giggle. It's just a game, after all. Besides, it's not like they're real mines. They just make a little noise and smoke. And a little pain, of course. A little pain. Are you crazy? My whole body hurts, complained Russell, who had several bruises and scratches. Well, that's part of the fun, right? Nora said, shrugging her shoulders with a mischievous smile. That's what it feels like to be a real hunter. You have to be prepared for anything. Even a minefield. And how are we supposed to get out of here? Sky asked nervously, looking around at the marks on the ground that indicated the presence of explosives. Isn't there some way to deactivate the mines? Of course, said Naruto, taking a remote control out of his pocket and showing it proudly. I just have to press this button and... boom. No, wait, everyone shouted in unison, terrified. Pira took advantage of this moment to use her semblance. She used her polarity on the devices, uninstalling them in an instant, and yet she was in that position to keep Naruto distracted as he continued talking and giving a speech that no one was paying attention to. Pira knew that Naruto was a prankster, but also a genius at creating traps and gadgets. He couldn't trust that the remote control was just a joke. Pira looked Ren in the eyes, he recognized the message and nodded. She snuck away and tried to get out of there knowing that the mines were no longer working, but once she stepped outside the field she found a trapdoor and was left hanging on a tree. With a net that wrapped it. Whoa, Ren, do you really think I didn't see that coming? Naruto said, appearing from behind a bush with a camera in his hand. Please give me a little more credit. This it's for my Veil Tube channel, Naruto Pranks. Ren was surprised at how quickly Naruto appeared in front of him. Seeing that the facade was no longer useful, Pira took out her Milo gun, transformed it into a shotgun and fired in Naruto's direction. He immediately dodged it and got lost in the forest again, laughing all the time as if he were a damn madman. It gave chills, it was like those horror movies. Damn Naruto! Pira shouted, furious. This is not fun, it's dangerous. Come on, Pira, don't be a party pooper. Naruto's voice was heard from somewhere. This is a survival test, you have to be alert. They waited a few seconds for a new attack to begin, then they heard another explosion near them again, then they ran in all directions again. Run. We have to go this direction. Let's go. Pira led the entire group, trying to find a way out of the forest. They were overwhelming them again. They didn't know which direction the bullets were coming from, so Pira used her semblance to feel the metal of Nora and Naruto's weapons, and so she did. She realized that she was to her left, on the top of a tree. There. Pira shouted in the direction of the tree. Immediately everyone shot at the tree and destroyed it completely, making Naruto fall to the ground. That was a very good use of your semblance. Pyrrha, you were very close. What a shame you didn't use it at the beginning. Now it's completely useless against us, right? Naruto said, standing up and dusting himself off, as if nothing would have happened. Of course. Nora expressed happily, applauding. Do you want to do the honors, my beautiful lady? Oh, what a gentleman, Nora said with an excited laugh, taking Naruto's hand. Then Naruto handed a cartridge to Nora in her hands. Pyrrha realized that it was one of the research cartridges that Naruto offered them as an apology. They never had the opportunity to test them and it seems that they will be the test subjects. Nora pulled the trigger and fired the cartridge. It was a lightning bolt. She didn't know if it was fate or just her bad aim, but the projectile deflected and fell away from them. But what happened next was terrifying. An explosion of lightning resounded. The impact was so strong that it shook the ground and the air. Pyrrha and the others were stunned, feeling a sharp pain throughout their body. They tried to recover, but they couldn't believe what they saw. How was it possible that a simple cartridge of that size caused so much damage? They stood up and waited for the smoke to dissipate. They looked around in horror. Everything was burned and charred. See, Naruto said, smirking, I told you that 5 meters away was enough. If you had hit them directly, you would have killed them. Yes, you're right, Nora exclaimed, very excited, hugging her leader and jumping for joy. How did you do these things, Naruto? This is impressive. Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you. Don't worry, Nora. Pampering you is always one of my obligations, Naruto said, returning the hug and winking at her. Guys, it's time to finish. Finish? Pyrrha asked, confused and angry. What do you mean by finishing, Naruto? Naruto put his hand in his jacket and took out some small marbles, which he threw at the feet of Pyrrha and the others. She covered herself hoping that they were some kind of bomb, but nothing happened. It was just smoke. She was surprised and everyone's place was covered. She couldn't see anything. Ren, Team Cardinal, listen to me. Don't worry, it's just smoke. Let's get out of here. The mission continues. Let's go to the enemy base, Pyrrha said, trying to remain calm and led. He immediately stopped because he heard footsteps approaching in his direction. It was Naruto next to Nora. They had strange devices that covered their mouth and nose. They were staring at them with a malicious smile. It's not smoke, it's anesthetic, said Naruto, with a mocking laugh, while he recorded the reaction of his companions with his camera. Naruto began to record himself, saying goodbye and bowing. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Naruto Pranks, where I gave my teammates an unforgettable time. Don't forget to like, subscribe and comment what you thought. See you next time. Naruto, we are going to kill you. They all shouted, launching themselves at him, but before they could reach him, they fell to the ground, unconscious. Oh, what a fucking headache. Pyrrha shouted, putting her hands to her head. She was sitting on the floor of the lush emerald forest, having been knocked out by Naruto's smoke bombs. That combat simulation had been much more difficult than she expected. She, Ren, and the Cardinal team had been completely defeated, falling unconscious from the effect of the anesthetic gas bomb. The combination of Naruto and Nora was fearsome, two madmen without restraint. Oh, wow, so Miss Perfect also knows how to swear, mocked Naruto, who was standing, watching the redhead with a mocking smile. I didn't know you had that side, Pyrrha. You know what they say, the most modest are the most. Naruto paused and approached her, lowering her voice. I bet you can make a. Again. Shut up now, Naruto. Can't you stop talking nonsense? Nora snapped, blushing up to her ears. But I'm not finished, Nora. I bet you can do a rap solo with that little mouth, hehehehe. Nora, what were you thinking? What did you think I was going to say? And nothing, Nora stammered, looking away. I don't believe it, what a dirty mind you have. Poor Ren, what will he think of you if he finds out? He must be afraid every time he sleeps near you. Shut up, shut up, shut up. We're not like that, and stop doing that, idiot. Nora shouted at him, pushing him hard. That's not proper language for a lady, I'll have to tell Miss Goodwitch, Naruto said, pretending to be offended. Well, fuck you, Naruto, I say whatever curse words I want, damn it, Nora replied, crossing her arms. I only suggest that you moderate it a little, nothing more, hehehehe. But don't worry, it doesn't bother me, on the contrary, I like it, Nora. Naruto approached her again and cupped her chin in her hand. I might start to like him a lot. If you make a comment like that again, I'll break your legs, Naruto, Nora threatened, red as a tomato. That would be very easy with how short you are, you wouldn't have to bend over. Although I'm not saying not to try it either, Naruto said, winking at her. Nora then punched Naruto, who narrowly avoided it, and tried to run away, but Cardin intercepted him and grabbed him by the arms. Thank you, Cardin, I owe you one, Nora said, grateful. You're welcome, Cardin said, with a malicious smile. Nora then began to hit Naruto with all her might, while he writhed and begged. Please, stop, stop, it was a joke, just a joke. // Well, guys, I have to be honest with you. Lately I have noticed that some of you have lost your way, you have become erratic, unreliable and rather careless. Not you, Nora, you are an example to follow. She nodded happily, proud of her performance. But the rest of you, Naruto continued, changing his tone to a more severe one, have disappointed me a lot. You have to concentrate on the game, guys. Yes, I know that our main enemy is the Grim, but that it can change at any moment. The world is cruel and unpredictable, and the enemy is not always what it seems. So we have to be prepared for anything. Now, as I was telling you before, you made 3 serious mistakes in this mission. Could you tell me what they were? Everyone stayed quiet, avoiding Naruto's gaze. Only one hand was raised timidly. Yes, tell me, Lark, Naruto encouraged him. Well, I guess we weren't 100% prepared because you only gave us 10 minutes to plan, Lark complained. That's not an excuse, Lark. You are ninjas, you must be ready to act in any situation. Besides, that was not one of the mistakes you made. These were the mistakes. Ah, we are hunters, not ninjas, Ren expressed. First, you let me dictate the battle. That cannot be allowed, guys. I tricked you and led you directly into a trap, and you fell like rookies. You should have been more cautious and analyzed the situation before following me. Second, you blindly followed the instruction I gave you. Naruto took out a crumpled map from his pocket and waved it in the air. I gave you this map, an address, and you just followed it without questioning anything. That was very naive of you. You should have suspected that that road was full of traps or enemies waiting to ambush them. They should have looked for another route, knowing full well that I knew the terrain better than you. And third, and this is the most serious thing, is that they did not prepare enough. Naruto paused dramatically and looked at them reproachfully. But you said that wasn't one of the flaws, Lark protested, confused. Don't interrupt me, Lark. What I mean is that you didn't prepare enough to face me. I'm the best ninja of all, and you don't stand a chance against me if you don't try harder. Naruto crossed his arms and looked at them superiorly. Do you mean effort, Naruto? Lately you're always making jokes and eating ramen. You're nothing more than a clown. Ren replied, annoyed by Naruto's attitude. What did you say, Ren? A clown? Do you want me to show you who the clown is here? Naruto approached Ren with a challenging look. Yes, come, Naruto. Come and show me what you know. Let's see if you're as good as you say you are. Ren stood up and faced Naruto. Very good, Ren. I like your spirit. Let's see what you're made of. Naruto grabbed him by the neck and hugged him tightly. You're going to like this, Ren. I'm going to teach you a lesson that you won't forget. Let go of me, Naruto. Let me go or you'll regret it. Ren struggled to free himself from Naruto's embrace. No, Ren. I won't let you go. I love you very much, Ren. You are my friend, Ren. Naruto spoke to him in a honeyed voice and kissed him on the cheek. Yuck, yuck, Naruto. Ren turned away from Naruto in disgust and wiped his face with his sleeve. Ha ha ha, see, I told you you were going to like it. Naruto laughed out loud, while the others also laughed at the scene. You're an idiot. Ren glared at him. No, Ren, I'm your sensei. And as your sensei, I'm going to help you improve. You and everyone else. So let's start over. Okay. Everyone, same story. Ren, come with me. Naruto grabbed his arm and dragged him deeper into the forest. Me, again. Ren resisted, but it was useless. Yes, you. Come here. I promise you'll have fun. Naruto smiled maliciously at him. No, Naruto. Do not look at me like that. I don't like that smile. Naruto, let go of me. Naruto, no, Naruto, help. Ren yelled as Naruto pulled him out of the place. //. What happened here? RWBY asked the 2 police officers who had arrived at the scene. They looked at Team RWBY and explained the situation to them. It was a robbery, the second dust store robbed this week. This place is turning into a jungle. It's horrible, Yang said indignantly. The policemen spoke to each other again, but this time in low voices. They left all the money again. Yes, it doesn't make any sense. Why do they want dust so much? I don't know. For an army. Do you think it was the White Fang? Yes, and I think they pay us a pittance. The White Fang, what a band of degenerates. Weiss exclaimed contemptuously. What's your problem? Blake responded harshly to Weiss. My problem is that I don't care about psychopathic criminals. The White Fang are hardly a band of psychopaths, they are just a collection of disoriented faunas, Blake defended. Disoriented. They want to exterminate humanity. The white-haired girl shouted at the top of her lungs. Okay. Very disoriented. But that doesn't explain why they were going to rob a powder store in the middle of Vale. Blake is right. Besides, the police never caught that Torchwick guy the first chased a few months ago. It could be him. RWBY got into the conversation of those two, which was more of an argument. That also doesn't change the fact that the White Fang are trash. Those Faunus only know how to lie, cheat and steal. That's not necessarily true, Yang spoke calmly. Hey, stop that Faunus. Was heard in the distance. Thanks for the trip, guys. Haha. Hearing that, Team RWBY went in the direction of the voice and realized that there was a monkey Faunus that was escaping from a ship. The boy jumped off the boat and positioned himself on a light pole. Damn stowaway. Hey, a damn stowaway would have been arrested. I'm a big stowaway. Hey, get down from there right now. The police officer the team was previously talking to spoke up, but was greeted by a banana peel in his face. Immediately, the monkey fawn jumped off the light post and ran to where they couldn't reach him. When he passed by Team RWBY, everything slowed down, as if everything was happening in slow motion, and he winked at Blake. Well, Weiss, you wanted to see the competition, and here it is. Quick, we have to catch him. Immediately, Weiss went after the monkey Faunus, followed by the others. But when the ape Faunus turned a corner and Weiss followed him, she crashed into something that knocked her and that person over. No, he ran away. Weiss shouted in disappointment. When the others arrived, they all saw Weiss on top of a girl. Ha, Weiss, could you get up? Yang pointed out with a mocking smile. What happened here? Weiss asked herself when she saw the girl lying on the ground. Everyone looked at her curiously, waiting for her to get up or say something. But all she did was smile and exclaim in a happy voice. Greetings. Hello. Ruby responded shyly, not knowing how to react to the strange situation. Are you okay? Yang asked worriedly, thinking that maybe the girl had hit her head when she fell. I'm doing wonderfully. Thank you for asking, the girl responded enthusiastically, without showing any sign of pain or discomfort. Do you want to get up? Yang suggested, offering a hand to help her. Yes, of course, the girl jumped up and stood in front of them, never stopping smiling. It was very strange, it seemed like she didn't care about what had just happened. She introduced herself with an animated voice. My name is Penny. It's a pleasure to meet you. Penny had short, curly orange hair that reached her chin, with a pink bow on the back of her head. She also had bright green eyes, and fair skin with freckles. She was wearing an old-fashioned blouse with a short feminine overall, as well as a black and green necklace that matched a pair of stockings. The green lines on the side of her stockings seemed to glow sometimes, as if they had some special function. Hello Penny, I'm Ruby, the redhead introduced herself, trying to be friendly to the newcomer. Weiss, the white-haired girl said coldly. Blake, the brunette said indifferently, without showing much interest in the girl. Are you sure you haven't hit your head? Oh, it's Yang, the blonde said with concern. A pleasure to meet you. Penny repeated, without catching the tone of her interlocutors. She seemed very happy to have found some new friends. You already said that, Weiss reminded him, eager to leave. Then he apologized for throwing it away, although he wasn't very sorry. After that, they all turned around to continue on their way, leaving Penny behind. Ruby waved goodbye to the girl, saying, Goodbye friend. She was weird, Yang commented, as they walked towards their destination. Now, where did that Faunus rabble escape to? Weiss asked, remembering the reason for their pursuit. What did you call me? A voice was heard. It was Penny, who had suddenly appeared in front of them, as if she had run at full speed or teleported. Weiss was stunned, not understanding how she had done it. Oh, I'm really sorry, I definitely thought you hadn't heard me, Yang apologized, thinking he was referring to her. No, not you, Penny clarified, pointing her finger at Ruby. You called me a friend. Am I really your friend? Penny asked, approaching Ruby and hugging her tightly. The girl felt overwhelmed by the physical contact, and looked to her friends for help. They waved at him, telling him to say no, that it was a bad idea, that the girl was not okay. Yeah, sure, why not? Ruby said, trying to be polite and not hurt his feelings. Sensational. You're officially my sixth friend. Penny exclaimed, jumping for joy. She then proposed to Ruby that they make plans together, such as painting their nails, trying on clothes, and talking about cute boys. Oh, is that what I was like when you met me? Ruby asked Weiss, remembering their first meeting. No, she seems much more coordinated, the white-haired girl responded, comparing Penny to Ruby's clumsiness. So, what are you doing in Vale? Yang asked Penny, changing the subject. I'm here to fight in the tournament, Penny responded, proudly. Wait, you're going to fight in the tournament? Weiss asked incredulously, not believing that such a strange and fragile girl could be a fighter. I'm ready for combat, Penny stated, with determination. Excuse me, but you hardly look like it, Weiss told him. Does the girl say she's wearing a dress? Blake spoke, defending Penny and mocking Weiss. It's a combat skirt, Weiss replied, offended. Ruby quickly appeared next to the white-haired girl and they high-fived her, demonstrating her complicity. If you're here for the tournament, does that mean you know that rogue monkey? Weiss spoke, pulling out a poorly made drawing of that monkey Faunus, although curiously they didn't know where and how he got it. Who? Penny asked, without recognizing the character in the drawing. Stop calling him a scoundrel. Stop calling him a degenerate. He's a person. Blake interrupted, angry at Weiss's insults towards her species. Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want me to stop referring to the trash can as a trash can? Or the streetlight as a streetlight? Weiss countered, ironically. Stop, Yang asked, trying to calm things down. Stop what? He clearly broke the law. Give him time, he'll probably end up joining those other White Fang Faunus, Weiss said, accusing the monkey Faunus of being a criminal and a terrorist. You ignorant brat, Blake snapped, offended by her ignorance and prejudice. How dare you talk to me like that? I'm your partner, Weiss yelled at her. You're a prejudiced girl, Blake told her, despising her attitude. And what makes you say that? Do you know that all Faunus support the terrorist group? Sorry, I correct myself, almost all Faunus, Weiss asked him, sarcastically. Relying only on their species to say that makes you as evil as they are, Blake responded, indignantly. So you admit it. The White Fang is just a radical group of terrorists. Weiss told him, triumphant. I didn't mean that, and you know it. Blake replied, frustrated. That discussion went on for a long time, so long that they had already arrived at her room and it was night. Penny had followed them there, without them noticing. She was sitting on Ruby's bed, watching them with admiration and curiosity, as if they were her new best friends. I don't understand why this is causing you so much trouble. You do realize that you are defending an organization that hates humanity, right? The Faunus of the White Fang are the embodiment of evil. Absolute evil does not exist. Why do you think they hate us so much? It's because of people like Cardin, people like you, who push the White Fang to take such extreme measures. People like me. What do you mean by that? That you are a racist. You judge Faunus by their appearance and not by their character. Come on, Blake, seriously. Have you ever seen me mistreat any Faunus at this academy? And no, but. And Cardin, really, Cardin. I know it's hard for you to believe, but he's trying to change and be a better person. He's the worst example you could have set. Weiss walked to the window and looked at the night sky, full of stars. Do you want to know why I hate the White Fang? Why I don't trust the Faunus? It's because they have been at war with my family for years, a bloody and cruel war. My grandfather's company has been the target of his attacks for as long as I can remember, and since I was little, I have seen family members, friends, council members disappear. I have seen a train full of dust, stolen and destroyed. Blake lowered her head, knowing that everything Weiss said was true. The White Fang had committed atrocities. And every day, my father came home, furious and bitter, and that made me have a very sad childhood. Ruby tried to take Weiss's hand, but she pushed it away from her. No. Do you want to know why I hate the White Fang? It's because they are a gang of liars, thieves and murderers. Or maybe we're just sick of being humiliated. Blake realized what she had said and ran towards the door. Blake, wait, come back. Ruby tried to reach her, but she couldn't do it, it was too late. Penny, who had been listening intently to the entire conversation, got out of bed and walked over to Weiss and patted her head. What are you doing in this room? Weiss was feeling bad about the argument she had with Blake an hour ago. He knew that Blake was partly to blame for provoking her, but he also recognized that she had reacted immaturely and proudly. He regretted saying hurtful things and just walking away from her. He needed to clear his mind and reflect on what he would do next, because there was a lot at stake. He decided to go up to the roof of the building, where he hoped to find some peace and quiet. However, when she reached the door that gave access to the place, she realized that it was ajar. Curious, she peeked through the crack to see who was there and was surprised to see Naruto. The blonde was making some strange movements with his hands, as if he were dancing or practicing some kind of martial art. Sparks of electricity came out between his fingers that illuminated the night sky. Weiss had to admit that it was an impressive sight, as Naruto showed great precision and elegance in his gestures. But suddenly, lightning emerged from his hands and Naruto pointed it upwards. Weiss expected to see a roar or an explosion, but the lightning bolt simply vanished into thin air. Naruto, however, was thrown backwards and crashed into a nearby wall. Weiss freaked out and wondered if he was okay. But Naruto stood up as if nothing had happened and stared at the sky. Then he started talking to himself, as if he had someone else with him. Weiss didn't understand anything he was saying. That was close. I almost burned my hand with that, Naruto said, dusting himself off. Quote. What should I do now? Naruto asked, as if waiting for an answer. Quote. Yes, you're right. Maybe I went too far with the energy, Naruto admitted, scratching his head. Quote. No. That's crazy. I'm not going to do that. I already told you I wasn't going to listen to you. I should have known better. Naruto said, shaking his head. Quote. Quote. But I have to admit that this will give me a great advantage in combat. Naruto said, smiling confidently. Quote. Quote. Yes, it's funny. I can master the other elements, but this one resists me. I wish I had a similar attribute. Naruto said, sighing. Naruto? Weiss asked, a little unsure, coming out of her hiding place. Naruto was startled when he saw her. Weiss, I hadn't seen you. I'm sorry. How are you? Naruto said, trying to hide his nervousness. I'm fine, Naruto. Thanks for asking. But, what are you doing? Weiss said, looking curiously at Naruto's hands. Here training, Weiss. I think you've noticed. Naruto said, shrugging. Naruto, you know what we told you. You shouldn't overexert yourself. Weiss said. Yes, I know. But I can't help it. This is already part of me. It's a habit. I'm sorry, Naruto said, apologizing. Don't worry, Naruto. It's admirable how you work so hard. Weiss said, softening her tone. Well, since you're here, I'll take a break. Do you want to come with me? Naruto said, pointing to the rooftop balcony. Sure, it would be a pleasure. Weiss said, accepting the invitation. I hope you don't mind that I'm a little sweaty. If it makes you uncomfortable, I can leave. Naruto said, offering. No, don't worry. It doesn't bother me if it's you. Weiss said, blushing. Naruto smiled at him. Hee, I thought you would have some repulsion with how modest you are. Naruto said, jokingly. What? I'm modest. Not at all. I'm very open and liberal. Weiss said, defending herself. Ah, yes, sure. That's why I've never seen you doing anything remotely bad. Naruto said, poking her. That has nothing to do with it. They just haven't seen it, Weiss said, lying. Weiss was worried about something and Naruto noticed right away. The blonde watched her daily, not in a harassing way, but with interest and admiration. He could read her gestures and expressions like an open book. And he could also appreciate her beauty, especially her long, shapely legs. What's wrong with you, Weiss? Naruto asked, approaching her with a smile. How do you know something is wrong with me? Weiss responded, avoiding his gaze. Well, I know you, Miss Schnee. I know when something bothers you or worries you. Besides, it's very difficult to ignore those legs, Naruto said, looking down. She hit him on the head, amused. Silly. Well, you can't blame me. One can't always be close to the most beautiful woman in the remnant. Naruto said, complimenting her. Weiss blushed slightly. You know, you should stop flirting with every girl you meet. You could end up in a bag in pieces. Wow, that's the same thing Ren told me. It's funny. Putting that aside, what's worrying you? Tell me. I may not be able to give you an answer, but I'll listen to you, Naruto said, offering his support. Weiss looked at the ground and sighed. She's Blake. She was lying to us all this time. She's a faunus, but that's not the worst thing. The worst thing is that she was part of the White Fang. And she was that close to you? Naruto asked, surprised. Weiss clenched her fists. Seriously, I was so close to someone who was in an organization that caused so much trouble for my family. And you don't know what to do? Naruto asked, understanding. Weiss nodded. I should hate her, but she has been with me for so long, that I can't see her any other way. She is my friend, but I don't know what to do, Naruto. I have no idea. Naruto hugged her. I see. You have trouble knowing what to think of her. She's part of an organization that hates your family, but you've known her for so long that you can't help but view her with affection. Weiss let herself be hugged. This thing about friendships is very complicated. My old self could have told you that it doesn't matter, that you should go to her and fix things. She is your friend after all. But now I will give you very different advice. Be cautious with her. Friends are not always what you think they are. They could turn their back on you, Naruto whispered. Weiss pulled away from him. And you want me to never see her again? She asked. Naruto shook his head. I never said that. I said just be cautious with her. But at the end of the day, you can ignore my advice. I can't always be right, Weiss. She maybe really is a good person and maybe, like Cardin, try to change. Weiss smiled at him. Yes, you're right. Naruto smiled back. Of course I do. There is no pure evil in this world. There are simply people who are on the path of evil, or they are simply psychopaths, or some have already lost everything. They have been hurt so much that they no longer know any other type of life. But there is always hope. That's the only thing I can tell you. That there is no absolute evil in this world. There are no bad people, only bad circumstances. Bad luck. That's life, Weiss. Weiss nodded in understanding. That's life, and what about you? He asked with interest. What? Naruto repeated without understanding. Why did you decide to be like that? You could have been bad, Weiss spoke frankly. Ha ha ha, I had every reason to be a movie supervillain, Naruto laughed humorously. But I simply decided that it was not my thing. Although many times I wanted to hurt people, instantly something in me knew that it was not my thing, that this was not for me. He confessed. Although sometimes I can't help but hurt people, he added regretfully. So you've hurt people? Weiss asked innocently, without judging him. I'm not 100% good, the issue here is. I did abominable things, so to speak, for my own good and for my selfishness, he admitted sincerely. Weiss remained silent, waiting for what Naruto said. She didn't know what kind of things Naruto had done, but it couldn't be that bad. Maybe he just stole food to feed himself, or things to live on, or money, but no. I didn't think any of it was really that bad. Naruto, I don't think you're capable of doing abominable things, he said confidently. Believe me, Weiss, I am capable of many things if I am given the right reasons, and I can assure you one thing, Weiss, here and now, look me in the eyes. And so she did. She looked into Naruto's lively blue eyes, as deep as the ocean. She was fascinated by those eyes, she couldn't look away. RWBY, Blake, and all of you are very important to me, and believe me, I would do the impossible for you to be safe. My life does not matter as long as you are well, and I know that you would also do the same. She said with determination. How do you know that I would do such a thing? Weiss asked curiously. We are similar in many ways. We are the loneliest, talking in a mirror wondering why we are like this, why we are incapable of people liking us, why we are so alone, Naruto said melancholy. Naruto, Weiss murmured. And I know you will, because you have found here the place where you belong. You have found what you were looking for so much, right? Friendship and companionship, the things that you were missing, and you will not let go of them that easily, Naruto said with joy. Weiss looked at him in admiration. Naruto was someone who had suffered a lot in his life, but had never given up. Someone who had fought for his dreams and for his friends. And I know that tomorrow you will go look for her. No matter how bad the situation is or what you find out about it, you will look for her to talk and go back to how before, Naruto continued. How do you know I'm going to do that, Naruto? You know very well that I could just ignore her and stay in my room. Weiss replied. No, deep down you know that she is a good person and that she is not what you think, Naruto insisted. How do you know? How can you be so sure? Weiss asked. Well, Naruto looked at the sky again and smiled. She's here, right? And she's not there with them. That's a good start, Naruto said. Weiss didn't know why she smiled, but she did. You're right, she was here with us, not them. Yeah, ha ha ha, what am I doing? Weiss laughed. I'm going to look for her tomorrow. Deep down she knew that was the answer she was waiting for. Thank you, Naruto. Weiss thanked. You're welcome, Weiss. You know, I love these talks we have from time to time, and the moments alone, when we get together when no one sees us. Naruto said mischievously. Stop it. Don't say it like that. Weiss spoke very embarrassed. Why are you always like that? Weiss protested. I love teasing you, Weiss. I love seeing you this expressive. That's how I like you. Weiss, it's nice, isn't it, to find someone to open up to? Naruto said tenderly. Weiss smiled at him and nodded. Yes, it's nice to open up to someone. Can I stay here a little longer, Naruto? Weiss asked. No problem, Naruto offered. Thank you so much, Weiss said. You're welcome, Naruto responded. Hey, Naruto, you know you're a fawn, but the only animal characteristics you have are those marks on your cheeks. Are there any others you're hiding? Weiss asked curiously. Excellent question. You are the first one that has asked me. For God's sake, I thought they would never ask me. Naruto said. Naruto grabbed Weiss's little nose and shook it, and she pushed him away in annoyance and amusement. I have 3 marks on my cheeks, but I also have big fangs, so Naruto opened his mouth and showed those big fangs to Weiss. Naruto said. And I also have this. She raised her hand and immediately her nails began to grow. The girl was surprised at that. Feel honored, Weiss, you are the first one I show these characteristics to. Weiss, jaw dropped. Naruto was a very peculiar fawn. His markings, his fangs and his nails gave him a wild and mysterious air, but also sweet and protective. Weiss wondered if there was any other part of him that was different. Well, Naruto, he had decided to keep up his facade that he is a faunus when in reality he is a human. In quotes, growing nails, as implausible as it may be, is one of the few abilities that the RWBY has granted me. Well, could you stop looking at my legs from now on, Naruto? She said jokingly, and Naruto played along. Of course not, it's not up for discussion. Naruto said. I think I'll wear pants from now on. Weiss said. No, please, I beg you, it's one of the few pleasures I have in life, said Naruto. Weiss laughed and put her head on Naruto's shoulder. They stood in a comfortable silence, undisturbed by anyone, in the dark of the night only illuminated by the moonlight. Yang looked around the buildings as the sun shone over the city of Vale. He had spent the entire weekend looking for Blake, along with the rest of his team, RWBY. Blake had fled after revealing in a moment of fury, that she was a faunus, a person with animalistic features. Although she didn't show it, Weiss felt responsible and regretful for Blake's departure, since it had all started because of a fight between the two of them. Blake is a mature girl. I'm sure she can take care of herself, Weiss said, trying to sound calm and rational. Weiss, please, she's part of our team, Ruby replied, with concern in her voice. We can't leave her alone. What if something bad happens to her? I know, Weiss admitted, sighing. I'm just saying, don't worry about her. She's a Beacon student, she knows how to defend herself. Besides, maybe she just needs a little space and time to calm down. You may be right, but either way, she's missing, and we have to find her, Ruby insisted, determinedly. We can't abandon a friend at a time like this. We have to let her know that we support her and help her. We accept, no matter what it is. I just hope she's okay, Young murmured, anguished. Blake is like a sister to me. I don't want to lose her because of a misunderstanding. Blake walked through the streets of Vale, with a lost look and a tight heart. He had escaped from his team, RWBY, after his true identity was discovered, a faunus, a person with animal features. Blake didn't know what to do or where to go. She felt alone and confused. All she wanted was to find the truth about the theft and the fate of the dust. But she didn't count on someone following her and her approaching him from her left side, with a mischievous smile and hands on her neck. What are your plans? Asked Sun Wukong, a boy with dark skin and spiky blonde hair. He had dark gray eyes, which sparkled with curiosity and amusement. He was wearing 2 red gloves and a loose white shirt with the collar open, revealing his muscular chest and abdomen. He was also wearing blue cargo pants, tied with white bandages on his lower legs, and a chain hanging from his belt on the right side. He was wearing black and yellow sneakers, and wore a braided gold necklace with a round pendant hanging from his neck. As a result of his faunus lineage, he had a long monkey tail the same color as his hair. Blake had met this boy when he was having breakfast at a cafe near the hotel where he had stayed. Sun had sat next to her and started talking to her, not caring that she ignored him or rejected him. Sun was very pushy and friendly, and she seemed to have a special interest in Blake. So she had stopped trying to push him away, and she had accepted his company, although with some distrust. I don't think White Fang was behind the robbery. It doesn't make sense, Blake muttered to herself, although she was a little confused by Weiss's words. Maybe Weiss was right, and White Fang was responsible. But Blake was more willing to believe that she was not, because she knew his way of acting and his objectives. They never needed this much powder before, Blake added, when Sun glanced at her and a thought crossed her mind. What if they need it? Sun asked mischievously, removing his hands from his neck. If you want to prove that they don't need it, we should go somewhere they can go if they're responsible, instead of looking for them, right? Sun proposed enthusiastically, tail wagging behind him. The problem is that I don't know where that place is, Blake responded with a frown, while Sun smiled knowingly at her. Well, I do, Sun said, winking at him. While I was on the ship, I heard some people talking about unloading a large shipment of Atlas dust. Blake's eyes widened at the news. Atlas was the most technologically advanced kingdom, and Shni's greatest ally. How big? Blake asked, almost demanding, staring at the smiling blonde. Huge, very big, Sun exclaimed, clapping his hands and making a gesture with his hands. They said it was Shni's, Sun added, making the brunette stop suddenly. Are you sure? Blake asked, her eyes alarmed and worried. Surely, Sun stated, nodding his head. Why? Do you know anyone from Shni? Blake didn't respond, but she remembered Weiss' face. No, I don't know anyone, Blake lied, looking away. Well, then, what are we waiting for? Sun said, taking her arm and pulling her along. Let's see what those rebel fawns are up to. Maybe we can stop them, or at least find out what they want to do with so much dust. Blake knew that the most likely place to find the shipment of powder that would be stolen was at the docks, where all types of merchandise arriving by sea were unloaded. But maybe it was just because she was a little depressed about her fight with Weiss, that she had held on to the off chance that she wasn't like that. Perhaps it was only because she wanted to believe that White Fang was not involved in the robbery, and that she did not have to face her past. Blake stared from the top of a terrace at the Shni containers painted white and blue, which stood out among the others. She had spent hours guarding the place, and waiting for it made her nervous, even though a part of her knew what was going to happen. Especially since the shipments belonged to the Shni company, which was too tempting a target for the White Fang, and the fact that they were there without protection from her did not reassure her. She frowned, feeling the need to call Weiss first and apologize, before suppressing her emotions. If White Fang did it and she was there, she didn't want to imagine what could happen. Have I missed something? Sun's voice came from behind and she was grateful for his timely arrival, which distracted her from her thoughts. No, they just took the container off the ship and there it is, Blake responded without taking her eyes off the container. Okay, I stole some food, the blonde said with a slight smile as he handed the black-haired girl an apple. Blake frowned slightly. Do you always break the law? Blake asked with a reproachful tone in her voice and earned an offended look from the blonde. Didn't you belong to some kind of criminal organization? Sun countered without thinking, causing Blake to give him a hard look. The blonde blushed a little and said, Sorry, I said too much. And as Blake was about to speak, she heard a noise. Hearing a bullhead approaching, Sun quickly lay down on the roof of the warehouse next to Blake. Oh no, Blake felt her hopes fade as she saw the first man emerge from the bullhead. He was dressed in a black spandex suit that covered his head, arms and legs at all times, a silver jacket over his chest, bracelets around his wrists and black boots on his feet. He had a mask that resembled the face of a grim, a monstrous creature that attacked humans and fawns. And on his back, he carried the name White Fang, written in red. Is that them? Sun asked quietly. Yes, Blake murmured with disappointment and sadness in her voice. You really wanted to think it wasn't them, right? Sun said sympathetically. I wanted to believe it wasn't them, but, the sadness was noticeable in Blake's voice. Deep down I knew, I just chose to lie to myself, deceive myself and hope to be right. And the blonde looked at her with sympathy. What are you doing? Move, we don't have the whole night. This has to be done quickly. Blake opened her eyes in surprise when she heard a male voice, which she didn't recognize. He hoped it wasn't his old flame, Adam, the leader of the White Fang. But instead, he saw the famous thief Roman Torchwick emerge from the bullhead with his cane in his right hand. What is this? It's not normal, Blake said with surprise in her voice. White Fang wouldn't work with humans, especially not someone like Roman Torchwick. Blake took out her gamble shroud in katana mode and started walking in the direction of Roman, ignoring Sun's surprised look. Don't be reckless, they can discover you, come back. The blonde whispered nervously, but Blake ignored him. Blake jumped from the roof and headed to the nearest container, where he hid near the thief, barely peeking his head out to observe Roman. He had his back turned, giving orders to one of the White Fang members. Hurry up, we don't have all day, Roman said impatiently. I want you to load all the powder into the bullhead, and not leave a speck behind. This powder is very valuable, and I don't want it to be wasted. What are we going to do with so much dust, sir? Asked the fawn with a trembling voice. That's none of your business, Roman replied with disdain. You just have to obey and keep quiet. I'm the one in charge here, and you're just a pawn. We are White Fang, we are not their lackeys, the fawn protested. Oh, please don't make me laugh, said Roman. Like you, I also work for someone and that someone put them under my orders, so yes, they are my pawns. Roman spotted another member of the White Fang who was doing something wrong. Bloody hell, you didn't listen to the instructions I gave you. This particular powder has to go to a bullhead number 13, because this powder has the highest degree of refining, so, move quickly, you damn idiot. Roman sounded irritated. Don't they train you guys? He mocked. Blake took advantage of the thief's moment of distraction, and ran at full speed towards him, taking him by surprise and putting her katana at his throat. What the hell? Or biome, said Roman when he realized that he had a sword at his throat. Nobody move, Blake said. Yes, calm down, miss, we don't have to go to such extremes, said Roman trying to calm her down. At that moment Blake removed the bow from her head, revealing cat ears. Brothers of the White Fang, what are you doing? Why are you helping this piece of trash? Blake exclaimed, hoping that several members of the White Fang would reconsider. Girl, didn't they give you the message? Roman said sarcastically. What are you talking about? Blake asked confused. The White Fang and I are doing business together, said Roman with a malicious smile. Tell me what it is about or I will put an end to your little operation, Blake threatened, pressing his katana harder on Roman's throat. Really? That doesn't benefit you at all. Roman was about to give Blake a warning, when a song interrupted him. Musical note. We think we are very elegant, trying to be giants, we do whatever we want, to be more interesting. Musical note. Everyone was petrified, no one expected that. While Roman and Blake faced each other in a tense situation, an individual appeared around a corner, carrying a box of extra refined powder that he had to deliver in a bullhead with the number 13. Musical note. And before you leave, I'm going to cross the line, to see if you're as pretty, inside and out. Musical note. The guy was totally unconcerned about what was happening around him and dedicated himself to singing. That was what surprised everyone the most, that he started singing in the middle of that chaos. He had nothing to distinguish him. In fact, he did not appear to be a member of the White Fang. He wore a black hooded tunic that covered his entire body, and a white mask that covered his face. Her mask only had 2 small holes, just enough for her to see something. What the fuck? Roman exclaimed, incredulous at the absurd scene that was presented to him. Musical note. Maybe it's the last chance to know where you're going and what you're talking about, if I'm left with the desire to know your name and think. Musical note. Even the impassive Blake stared at the mysterious robed individual. In fact, the masked man's voice seemed very familiar to her, almost identical to that of her blonde friend from Beacon. Musical note: there is nothing more important than knowing how to fall in love, maybe just one look is enough to adore you. Musical note. Roman got fed up with all this and quickly tried to get the attention of the robed guy. Hey, you. Hey, you. Damn it, I'm talking to you. The masked man seemed confused and instantly realized the situation. Ah, Mr. Roman, I see that you have a little problem. The masked man shrugged his shoulders and downplayed the matter. Well, go on with your thing, I'm going to go on with my thing, and continued walking towards the bullhead with the number 13. Hey, you, don't you see what's happening here? Roman shouted. Well, more or less, a couple of, what are they, hunters? Well, they have come and are attacking him. And that's why you have to give me a hand here, you useless piece. I'm sorry, but that's not part of my duties, don't you remember? I'm not from the White Fang, I'm a subcontractor for Junior's club, so Junior pays me and my only job here is to bring this ultra-refined powder to the bullhead with the number 13. What the hell are you saying? Come closer. Hurry, it's an order. I'm sorry, but it's not worth getting into this mess. See you later, Mr. Roman. Wait, do you want more money? Okay, work for me, I'll give you double what Junior gives you. Double. Junior gives me 25 lean a day, I'm not going to risk my life fighting a hunter for 50 lean, goodbye. Really? Don't be too smart, how do I know you're not as ineffective as these guys? Roman said, pointing to all the members of the White Fang. Well, you'll have to prove that, and besides, if I fall against her, she wouldn't have to pay me anything, right? Good point. I'll pay you 4 times more. Then it's 100 lean a day, that seems good to me, deal done Mr. Roman, from now on I'm your employee, don't worry, I'll take care of the kitten and you can continue with your thing. Don't kid me, Blake screamed, what did you think? You idiot, don't think that. Exclamation mark. Again. She was amazed because she suddenly flew into the air. Literally, she was looking everywhere as time passed, until she crashed into a container and was left lying on the ground, wondering what had happened. Wow, that was incredible, Roman said with sincere admiration. The masked man made a gesture of approval to Roman. Don't worry, sir. From now on I'll take care of it. You do your homework. There's a lot of dust to loot. The masked man said jovially. Hey, you're very efficient. Are you really a fawn? I think so. I don't know for sure. I don't even know myself well, but let's leave that aside, I'll take care of it now. The masked man continued to walk in the direction of Blake, who was getting up, and he pulled out a small rope from his tunic. The masked man slowly advanced towards the cat faunus with the rope, wrapping it around his right hand. Well, kitten, don't be afraid, I'm not going to hurt you, I'm just going to dominate you. I hope you don't enjoy it, it would be very strange. He stopped dead when he felt the impact of a banana peel on his head. The masked man picked up the shell and looked at it curiously. Who was the prankster who did this? Me, responded a voice from the top of a building. Then, a monkey-like fawn jumped from the roof and stood next to Blake. The intruder helped her get up and faced the masked man. Wow, we have company, how fun. Is he your accomplice, miss? He asked sarcastically. The masked man examined the blonde fawn and raised his hand to his face, but he couldn't touch it because he was wearing the mask. Then, he started making a noise that sounded like sobbing. Oh, I'm sorry, poor boy, he said with mock compassion. What are you talking about? Replied the blonde fawn. Look, I'll give you 50 lean, go and buy some clothes, it's obvious that you need them, he offered condescendingly. What the hell? Exclaimed the fawn. I understand the situation of many faunas here, not everyone has a job, but don't worry, friend, I am a good man and I help those who need it. And buy a shirt, please, he insisted in a paternalistic tone. I don't have money problems, I don't need it. The fawn shouted. Really? Then it must be a fetish of the lady here. Well, I don't judge, he commented maliciously. Don't pay attention to him, son, he's distracting us, Blake warned him. It's true. Ah, you've seen through me, miss, you're very intelligent, he acknowledged wryly. The truth is that although my job is to stop them, I prefer to avoid conflicts, so I ask you to stay there and wait for Mr. Roman to finish his business. Don't worry, I'm a good conversationalist, don't worry, I have many stories to tell. The masked man tilted his head to the side, dodging a bullet that was aimed at him. That was very rude, miss, you should have a little more consideration, I am a good host here. Sure, I don't have much to offer, we're in the middle of a robbery, so you'll understand, right? Shut up, you damn idiot, your behavior irritates me. Blake snapped. Really? Because I think I'm very nice, I mean, the man here understands me, he has the same vibes as me, he stated with sympathy. And I can't stand you for that, son confessed. Wow. That was very hard. Sir, I feel a little sorry for you. You should get a new employer. I tell you that when something doesn't work, change your scene. But I understand, she has a very good ass, he said. With impudence. He had to interrupt his conversation when Blake's katana approached his head. He dodged it elegantly, hands behind his back. Wow, you keep interrupting me like that. Well, I have no choice but to try to make you see reason. Blake did not give up and continued to launch attacks, but he dodged them easily. At one point, the masked man went on the offensive and delivered 3 accurate blows to Blake's right rib. She spit out some blood and fell to the ground, near Sun. She tried to get up, but it was difficult to breathe. That was a little disappointing, so to speak, he said mockingly. What? That was very fast, that kind of blows, how is that possible? No, it can't be him. Blake exclaimed, recognizing the masked man's fighting style. Last chance, please stay there and I won't have to hurt you, he asked them with false courtesy. You are very arrogant, you damn idiot, said Sun, taking out a cane and starting to attack the masked man. She raised her staff and ran towards him. Let me guess, to the right, said the masked man, anticipating Sun's movement. And that was exactly what Sun did. He swung to the right, aiming for the masked man's right rib, but he predicted it and dodged it. You're good, but I'll show you how it's done, the masked man said, counter-attacking with a karate chop to Sun's wrist, causing him to drop his weapon. The masked man took the staff from him and hit the monkey fawn's knee, causing him to kneel slightly. Immediately, he punched Sun's chin, lifting him a few inches into the air. Turning around on his own axis, he landed a blow on the fawn's stomach, smashing it against a container, leaving the mark of the impact. Sun, Blake shouted, worried for her partner. My attitude irritated you, didn't it? Said the masked man, addressing Blake. Blake felt the atmosphere grow heavier. It was like he had a ton on her, she was having trouble breathing. Very well, I guess we've stopped playing then, said the masked man, with an evil smile. What have you done to me? Blake asked, terrified. Nothing you can't stand, miss. The masked man was about to move forward, but was met with a fist headed for his face. He stopped it with his hand, unfazed. Did you think that would stop me, stupid? Sun exclaimed, bravely. The masked man looked at the monkey faunus and spoke. I suppose not. Then, Sun groaned in pain, because the masked man's hand clenched his fist tightly. It was incredibly strong. He tried to get away, but the grip was firm. Blake took advantage of the moment and attacked the masked man again with his katana, but just when he was going to hit the enemy's head, the masked man took Sun's body and placed it between the sword. She had to stop just a few centimeters away to avoid hurting her partner. The masked man sighed at the situation. Guys, you shouldn't have come here. I know deep down that you think you're doing the right thing. And you are doing the right thing. The bad thing is that you were so arrogant to think you could do anything. You arrogant little brats, I tell you. I will now show you what happens when you face things that are out of your reach. And I know for a fact that you are not hunters, but mere students. Quickly, the masked man moved Sun's head towards Blake's katana, knowing that she would react. Immediately, she moved the katana away, but that was what the masked man wanted. Still with a firm grip on Sun's hand, the masked man shook him like he was a doll and hit Blake's body, slamming her against another container. And before Sun felt the pain, the masked man let go of him and punched him in the stomach, sending him sliding across the floor. Immediately, Blake and Sun got up and proceeded to attack the masked man again. Their attacks were precise and relentless, but no blow connected with the enemy. The masked man was simply silent. What's wrong, guys? Don't you have anything to say? Said the masked man, breaking the silence. Come on, don't be shy, let's talk a little. How's the weather? Do you like the heat? I love it, it makes me feel alive, he said sarcastically. We have nothing to talk to you about, we just want to stop you, Blake said firmly. Stop me. And what are you going to do? Give me a moral lesson. Tell me that what I do is wrong, that I'm on the wrong side, that I'm a villain. Said the masked man, sarcastically. When Blake was going to make a thrust and Sun another blow with his staff, the masked man dodged them with agility, causing them to hit each other with their weapons. Wow, guys, I have to admit that you are very good, but I will tell you that it will not be enough, said the masked man, condescendingly. It's my turn, said the masked man, disappearing in a burst of speed and reappearing next to Blake. He hit her hard on the cheek, sending her crashing to the ground. A shot of fire dust came in his direction, but he immediately grabbed Blake's body, blocking the attack. She flew backwards, colliding with some barrels. She proceeded to attack Sun, kicking her knee, causing her to kneel slightly. She grabbed Sun's head with both hands and kneed him, making him bleed. Blake appeared behind the masked man again, but he simply spun around on her own axis, grabbed the catgirl's hands and slammed her against the floor, where Sun's body was. He left a small crater with her two bodies. The masked man walked away calmly. Guys, this is really getting very painful. You can do better. Get up, said the masked man, mockingly. Don't laugh at us, you bastard, said Sun, trying to get up. Why not? I have a lot of fun with you, you are very funny. How about you tell me a joke? Or better yet, a story. What brought you here? What motivated you to confront me? What do you expect? Achieve? Said the masked man, curiously. We won't tell you, because you already know. We don't owe you any explanation, Blake said, with dignity. Come on, don't be shy. Share with me your secrets, your dreams, your fears. Maybe we can understand each other. Maybe we can be friends, said the masked man. We don't want to be your friends, Sun said, resentfully. They got up and attacked with impetus. While the two of them were fighting, the others continued carrying the dust. More bullheads were heard arriving in the area, and Blake became a little desperate, because no matter how many times he attacked this enemy, he couldn't get past him. He was incredibly powerful and he didn't even try. He didn't want to continue wasting time in this useless battle, so he turned around and ran towards the bullheads to stop the robbery. But when he had barely run about 5 meters, someone grabbed him by the neck. It was the masked man, but it was impossible, he was behind. Wow, did you really think it would be that easy to escape from me? Please don't be naive, little girl, the voice of the masked man was heard behind her. So this is your likeness. Clones, Blake deduced. Very good, boss, I'll take care of the kitten, said the clone with childish joy as he grabbed Blake's neck. Sure, I'll take care of this monkey. So guys, I'll keep you busy for a while. You won't be able to stop this robbery, I'm sorry, that's how it is. You don't always succeed in what you try to do, he said. The original masked man, with indifference. Blake used her semblance and broke free from the enemy's grip. He stared at him. This had gotten very dangerous. Who are you? Why are you doing this? Why are you helping Roman? Blake asked, curious. I think you should already have an idea of what I do. Well, who am I? It's a little difficult to explain, because I don't know that part too. I only know that my name is Sasuke, but nothing more. My job now is to stop them, and why do I do it? Well, for money, there is no other reason, said the masked man, sincerely. You're kidding me. Are you doing this just for money? Blake said, incredulously. Listen to me, this is not the way, it is not right. You don't have to follow the orders of, Blake said, trying to convince him. Save me the lecture, miss. The truth is that I have my reasons for doing what I do, just like you. But don't compare me to the White Fang trash. I don't hate humans, nor do I hate fawns. I'm just doing my job and I'm sorry if you don't like it, said the masked man, harshly. I don't like it. That's a euphemism. What you do is a horror, an infamy, a savagery. What you do is collaborate with a criminal who wants to sow chaos and destruction in this world. What you do is betray to your own race, to the faunus who suffer because of people like you. What you're doing is being a villain, Blake said. A villain? Ha, yes, I suppose so, said the masked man. And what are you? A heroine, a defender of justice, a deluded person who believes she can change the world. Do you think you're going to intimidate me with your words? I don't. Pam. The enemy punched Blake in the stomach, she spat out some blood and gasped. She knelt down and looked up to see the masked man. You talk a lot and do little, said the masked man, with contempt. Then he kicked Blake in the face and made her roll on the ground. She got up with difficulty and prepared to fight the masked man. The fight resumed with more intensity. The two contestants exchanged blows and dodged attacks. Slash. Sun was lying on the ground, trying to get up to continue fighting, but his strength was failing. The masked man looked at him with disdain, while he spoke to him in a mocking tone. Come on, kid, don't be stubborn. This doesn't make sense, you're just prolonging your suffering. If you insist on this, I'll have to really hurt you, and I don't feel like it. You've already tired me out enough, so I'll give you one last opportunity. Take your friend and get out of here, I don't want to have to hurt them, said the masked man, with compassion. Sun stood up and tried to attack the masked man again, but he easily moved out of the way and tripped him, causing the faunus to fall on his face. It was humiliating for him, to be treated like this by a mere hired thug, and not be able to keep up with him. Again, it seems that you don't understand things, said the masked man, impatiently. I don't care. Sun stood up again. I don't care how many times you hit me, I'll keep fighting. This is for justice. Why are you on the side of evil? Sun said, with determination. Here we go again. The masked man sighed. I think you're confused, boy. I know very well that you are not doing this for noble reasons, justice. Stop evil, please. You wouldn't recognize evil if it was right under your nose. And I may be evil in your perspective, but to a lot of people I'm the good guy. But this debate is beside the point, and I'm sorry if I offend you, but you can't fool me. You're not here because you suddenly found out that a shipment of powder is going to be stolen or because you patrol at night like a vigilante, imposing the law throughout the kingdom. No, 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 of course not. What you did, it was because of that girl. It's obvious. Did you want to impress her? Did you see a pretty girl and wanted to become her friend? Come on, boy, you're not going to flirt with her. And I'm sure that this woman doesn't act for 100% pure reasons either. I don't know what she's hiding. I don't have all the keys, but something tells me that she's not as innocent as she seems. Now tell me, are you going to try to stop me? You insignificant trash. You see that you can't even stand up. You can barely grab your weapon. Do you think you have the chance to confront me? At this part, the masked man's voice became more serious. With threat. It looks like you need a lesson. The voice sounded behind him. Sun quickly turned to attack him, but the enemy hit him with 2 fingers in the chest, giving 3 precise blows and walked away. Strangely, those blows didn't hurt him. Sun attacked again, and the masked man dodged it again and gave him 3 more blows to the chest. Sun's breath was getting heavy. His body was going numb, as if there was a lack of blood in his body. You are sweating a lot, boy, and your heart is pounding. You are short of breath and you feel dizzy. It seems that you have realized you are about to have a cardiac arrest. Now, if I give you 4 of these blows, he said, the enemy pointing his 2 fingers that shone with a bluish light, you die instantly, said the masked man, cruelly. At that moment, Sun felt afraid. This guy was not playing. If he hit him 4 more of those in the chest, he would be finished. So I hope you know how to dodge well. That this is a lesson for you. Boy, you should not face forces you don't know about. You always have to be prepared and do reconnaissance, idiot. At that moment, the enemy attacked, but Sun tried to dodge as best he could, and as soon as he managed it, he received 3 blows, and when the fingers were about to touch his chest, he stumbled on his feet in fright. That's fear, right? Now you're scared. A while ago you thought you were brave and you smiled proudly while you fought with me, and now that you're 1 step away from death, I can see your true face. You're nothing more than another arrogant and childish little boy. Now that you are before me, look me in the eyes. The masked man's voice became more severe and stronger. Do you see yourself capable of facing me, now that you know that your life hangs by a thread? Sun's body was shaking. This was fear. This was the closest he had ever been to death. But I won't kill you. At that moment, the enemy's fingers stopped shining. I will only make you suffer a lot, and that will give you a better idea of what really happens when you recklessly confront someone like me. I hope you learn your lesson, boy. The next time, when perhaps we meet again, you will be more cautious, said the masked man, cruelly. What the hell? Then the masked man suddenly appeared and stepped on Sun's left arm and fractured it. Ah! Sun shouted with all his might and was heard everywhere. But that was not all. The masked man grabbed him by the neck, lifted him up and slammed him into the ground again, forming a crater about 2 inches deep. Meters. The fawn spit blood, tried to get back up but couldn't, and then proceeded to crawl away from the enemy, but it didn't help much. The masked man stepped right on the fawn's Achilles tendon and pressed it. Sun screamed in pain, and the enemy he didn't stop, and he broke that part of his body. Sun was dying. He had never felt something like this. He felt powerless against the enemy. Many times he thought that he could take on everyone, but now he knew better. This happens when you don't go into combat prepared. The masked man turned Sun over, putting him on his back, and grabbed him by the neck and lifted him off the ground. He was strangling him slowly, but just enough so that he didn't lose consciousness. Let's see, boy, beg me to stop. Beg me for your life. Beg me, please, free me. Let me live. Say that and I might consider not breaking your other tendon. This is retaliation for wasting my time, so you have 10 seconds, said the masked man, mockingly. He had fun with him. Like a cat with its prey, little by little he tightened his grip on Sun's neck, preventing him from speaking. Come on. I can't hear you. Come on. I can't hear you. Are you so pathetic that you're not even able to beg for your life? Get away from him. Came the voice of a black-haired girl as she hurriedly approached the severely injured Faunus. The masked man effortlessly stopped Blake's katana that was going with all her strength. She was very surprised. He shouldn't have been able to do that. He was distracted with Sun, but the most surprising thing was not that. That was. Exclamation mark. Crack. The sound of his katana breaking. With just one pull the enemy broke his katana. Was that possible? With that weapon he could cut Grim like butter, but now it was broken. The masked man released Sun's neck and let him fall to the ground. The poor fawn tried to speak, but the pain was unbearable. At that same moment the enemy threw his fist directly at Blake's face, making her roll on the ground. She tried to get up. She was exhausted from her battle with the clone. Only when she saw how the enemy had Sun she decided it was better to save her partner, so she ignored the clone. But she didn't expect him to stop her sword like that. She tried to sit up but she fell to her knees. Whoa, 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 little kitten, I can't believe you actually thought that surprising me from behind would be so effective. It might have worked if you were someone else, but you're just a simple brat who tried to play heroine when she shouldn't have. Very unfortunate for you. The masked man knelt down to be at Blake's level. Now that I see you well, you seem a little familiar to me. Tell me, don't you have a pet pig? I don't know how to explain it, but I feel a certain connection with you, said the masked man, curiously. This is impossible, thought Blake. How can he be so strong, so fast? He's not even trying and he's mocking us. But that way of fighting, those movements, that voice, no, no. It can be him. Naruto. She tried to pronounce that name, but was interrupted. Leaving that aside, I'm afraid that you, miss, have made a very bad impression. I tried to be nice and gave you an escape route, but you didn't take it. Here ends our little talk. At that moment, the man in the mask delivered a powerful upward blow to the dark-haired girl's jaw, sending her flying into the air for a distance of about 80 meters. She fell hard to the ground and rolled until she stopped at the feet of Roman, the leader of the gang of thieves. He looked up to see his new recruit, who had just proven his worth. Impressive, boy, Roman exclaimed with admiration. Thank you, Mr. Roman. The masked man responded enthusiastically. The masked man approached his boss, who extended his hand to congratulate him. Good job, boy, you're a real genius. Why hadn't you told me you had these skills? I could have assigned you a more important mission. Well, Mr. Roman, I didn't think they needed someone who knew how to fight to steal some powder, said the masked man, referring to the shipment of powder that was stolen. It's not a little dust, kid. It's a fortune. With this we can buy weapons, vehicles, explosives. Everything we need to deliver the big blow. Roman licked his lips, thinking about his ambitious plan. The big blow, Mr. Roman? The masked man asked curiously. Yes, the big blow. But I'll tell you that later. Now we have to get out of here. Roman looked around, alert. Pom, pom, pom. Gunshots rang through the air. A group of armed guards had arrived to stop the thieves. Looks like we have company, Roman sighed, without losing his calm. Come on, we have to go. We already have everything we wanted. Understood, Mr. Roman. I'll follow you. The masked man nodded and followed his boss to the bullhead. The two climbed into the bullhead and took off, leaving the frustrated guards behind. From the air, they could see more reinforcements arriving, including some hunters who had been hired by the Schnee Corporation to protect their facilities and among other people. Sir, the voice of a member of the White Fang was heard over the intercom. Shall we attack the intruders? We have several missiles ready to fire. Roman was staring down at the attackers, but he didn't respond. He was absorbed in a thought that no one could guess. Perhaps he was wondering if it was worth risking such a confrontation with the hunters, or if it was better to conserve his resources for the future. No, we already have everything we need. Let's just get out of here. Roman broke the silence and gave the order to retreat. He didn't want to complicate his life any more than necessary. //. Blake opened her eyes slowly, feeling a dull pain in her head. She was confused, not remembering what had happened. She looked around her, trying to recognize the place where she was. It was a white room, with a bed, a monitor, and several tubes connected to her body. She realized that she was in the hospital, or rather, in the infirmary of Beacon Academy. Wow, it seems like you've finally woken up, came the voice of Yang, her teammate and friend, who was sitting next to her. Yang smiled at him with relief and stroked his hair. How do you feel? Blake struggled to her feet and sat on the bed, noticing that she had bandages on her arm and side. He tried to speak, but only a murmur came out. Calm down, don't try hard. You've had a long night, said another voice, that of Weiss, her other teammate. Weiss was standing next to the bed, with a worried and guilty expression. I'm so sorry, Blake. This is all my fault. If I hadn't been so stubborn and proud. Don't say that, Weiss. It's not your fault. You didn't know what was going to happen. A third voice interrupted her, that of RWBY, the leader of Team RWBY. RWBY was on the other side of the bed, holding a bouquet of flowers. We are here to support you, Blake. You are our friend and our partner. No matter what has happened, we will always be with you. Blake looked at the three girls with gratitude and excitement. She felt lucky to have them as friends. But she also felt ashamed and scared. What if that masked man wasn't playing? She didn't want to think about that. It's good that you're okay, Blake. We heard what happened. What you did was very brave, said a fourth voice, Pyrrha's. She was by the door, accompanied by her teammates, Nora and Ren. The three of them had come to visit Blake and show him his support. Blake looked at them in surprise and confusion. He didn't expect to see them there. He didn't expect them to know what had happened. How had they found out? How much did they know? Thank you, Pyrrha. I don't remember anything, Blake lied, looking down. Don't worry, Blake. It's normal for you to have memory gaps after a trauma like the one you suffered, Ren said, trying to comfort her. But we'll tell you everything you need to know. You see, last night, you and that Faunus guy who calls himself son. RWBY, I don't think this is the time to tell him that, Nora interrupted, nudging him. Let her recover first. At that moment, the door was heard opening. Blake turned her head to see who was entering. It was Naruto. He had a paper bag in his hand and a happy expression on his face. Hello, friends. I'm here and I've brought a small gift for the lost one, Naruto said, waving. Blake, how are you? Good afternoon. You had a crazy night, huh? Lots of drinks, Naruto joked, winking at her. Blake was speechless. He didn't know what to say. All the joy that Naruto exuded contrasted sharply with the tense atmosphere of the room. What happened? Blake asked, her voice weak. Don't you remember? Naruto repeated. Well, I'm going to remind you. Yesterday you had a battle against Roman Torchwick and you got hurt. You and that Faunus rascal, said Naruto, pointing to Sun, who was in another stretcher, asleep. Sun had a bandage on his head and all over his body. Yes, that rascal, smiled Blake, who looked down and closed her eyes, trying to gather her courage. Then he looked up and stared at Weiss. Weiss, I want you to know that you were right. That the White Fang. No, I don't want to hear it, Weiss said, interrupting her. That doesn't matter anymore. You are not part of the White Fang. You are my partner, right? Whenever you have a problem, it is my duty to help you. So, Weiss approached her and took her hands. Whenever you have questions and have problems, be sure to call us first, understand? Weiss, Blake was about to cry, but she stopped herself. Yes, I'll call them. Thank you. You're welcome, Weiss said, giving him a hug. Blake glared at everyone and even the Cardinal team, who was also there. Even Cardin had spoken words of relief to him. Blake couldn't believe it. What was happening? Why was everyone so nice to her? Why didn't anyone judge her? Why didn't anyone hate her? Guys, I want to tell you something, Blake said, taking a deep breath. And so he did it. He told them his whole story, everything about the White Fang, which was a terrorist organization that fought for the rights of fawns. He told them that she was a fawn, who had cat ears under her bow. She told them that she had escaped from the White Fang, that she had faced Roman Torchwick. She told them everything, without hiding anything, without lying anymore, except for her confrontation with Sasuke. Everyone remained silent, listening attentively. Except Naruto, who was eating candy. Now, oh really? And those were the sweets he had brought as a gift. Seeing that he had been discovered, Naruto sadly put down the sweets and handed them to Blake. I see, they all said, at the same time. It seems like you're not surprised, Blake said, looking at Naruto. No, I always knew, Naruto said, shrugging his shoulders. Really? Weiss asked, incredulous. Sure, attention to detail, friends. It's hard to ignore that rearguard, Naruto said, making an obscene gesture with his hands. Ouch, Naruto shouted, receiving a slap from Ren. Ren, really? That was unnecessary. A reprimand was enough, Naruto complained, rubbing the blow that the black-haired boy had given him. You know very well that that's not true. You never learn, Ren said, sternly. You are always making inappropriate and annoying comments. Don't you get tired of being so childish? You're right, Naruto smiled. I never learn. Blake was staring at Naruto, so intensely that her gaze burned. Is something wrong, Blake? You're staring at me, Naruto said, noticing her gaze. Have I bewitched you with my charm? Naruto, where were you last night? Blake asked, her voice firm. Well, I was with my teammates and the CRDL team. We practically trained all day, Naruto said, naturally. You know, preparing for the upcoming tournament. Why do you ask? Really? Blake insisted, not believing him. Weren't you somewhere else? Didn't you do something else? Seriously, Naruto repeated. Why do you doubt it? For nothing, Blake said, biting her lip. She had no proof, just a suspicion based on nothing. Don't tell me you saw me everywhere, Blake, Naruto said, mocking her. That's very flattering, you know. But I don't see you that way, I'm sorry. It doesn't mean that because you're a fawn we immediately have to be together. Pull yourself together, sister. Those retrograde ideas no longer work for today. I reserve the right to be selective. Blake threw the candy that Naruto had brought as a gift at her. She was red with embarrassment. Idiot, he muttered. Naruto dodged the candy and laughed. Come on, Blake, don't be mad. It was just a joke. You know I appreciate you, right? Blake didn't answer him. He just gave her a hateful look. She didn't trust him, now. Well, boy, since we are going to be partners, we have to review the conditions of our agreement, said Roman, as he walked down the hallway of the ship with the masked man following closely. What conditions? I have not signed any agreement, said the masked man, with some distrust. Don't worry, it's just a way of speaking. What I mean is that we are going to adjust our working relationship. From now on, I am going to pay you more, said Roman, with a malicious smile. Really, Mr. Roman? Asked the masked man, excitedly. Yes, seriously, and in exchange, you will have to work exclusively for me. You will be my personal bodyguard, so to speak, said Roman, opening a door that led to a room full of weapons and explosives. And how much will the pay be? Asked the masked man, curiously. 500 lean a day, Roman said, picking up a shotgun and examining it. Really, sir? Exclaimed the masked man, with enthusiasm. That's a lot of money. Much more than he earned before. I know. I'm very generous, but I'm also very demanding. So I hope you're up to the task, Roman said, putting down a cartridge of powder and looking the masked man in the eyes. By the way, what's your name, kid? My name is Sasuke, said the masked man. Sasuke, just that, Roman asked, frowning. Don't you have a last name? No, just Sasuke, the young man said, shrugging his shoulders. I don't remember anything else from my past. Nothing else? How is that possible? Roman asked, surprised. Do you have amnesia or something? Something like that, sir, Sasuke said, his voice dull. The only thing I know is that I woke up in a hospital bed, in a town called Ishval, about 100 kilometers from Vale. I don't know how I got there, or who I am, or what I'm doing here. Wow, that's very strange, said Roman, thoughtfully. Sasuke raised his hand and opened it, as if he was holding something invisible. Suddenly, a figure materialized in the air. She was a short girl, with pink and brown hair. She was wearing a white suit and carrying an umbrella in her hand. It was Neo, Roman's silent and lethal companion. Roman opened his eyes in surprise. He didn't expect Sasuke to be able to do that, much less know where Neo was. It was as if he had a special perception, as if he could see and feel her across the distance. Very well, since we are here, Sasuke, this is Neo, my right-hand man, Roman said, introducing her. Neo, this is Sasuke, he will be a new addition to our team, I hope you don't mind, he said, looking at the girl. Neo didn't say anything, just lowered the parasol and nodded, accepting the newcomer. Neo, right, nice to meet you, my name is Sasuke, I hope we get along well.